Welcome, friends, to another gentle journey into the mysterious corners of Minecraft lore. Tonight, we'll be exploring the tall, silent, and endlessly fascinating beings known as Endermen. These strange creatures, with their glowing purple eyes and unsettling stillness, have captured the imagination of players for years. Some say they are ancient builders. Others whisper they are guardians of forgotten realms, and still more wonder if they are echoes of something lost in time. Whatever the truth may be, Endermen remain one of the most mysterious parts of the game, their presence always sparking curiosity and sometimes a little unease. This video is meant to carry you into a place of calm as we slowly uncover stories, theories, and hidden details about Endermen. As you listen, let your mind drift like the shadows between dimensions, relaxed and at ease. If you enjoy these bedtime journeys, don't forget to subscribe. It helps the channel grow. And tell me, where are you watching from tonight? When we begin to talk about the Enderman, it feels like stepping into a quiet legend within the world of Minecraft. The origins of this tall, mysterious creature stretch back to the early days of the game's development, when many of its features were still being shaped. To understand where the Enderman comes from, it is worth remembering the atmosphere of Minecraft's growth in 2010 and 2011. The game was still new, still forming its identity, and every update carried a sense of surprise and discovery. It was during this time that the Enderman was born, not simply as another hostile mob, but as something strange, unsettling, and unlike anything else in the blocky world. The first seeds of the Enderman's creation can be found in the mind of Marcus Persson, better known as Notch, the original creator of Minecraft. In interviews, Notch explained that he wanted a creature that felt truly alien, something that would stand out not only for its appearance, but also for the feelings it stirred in players. Zombies and skeletons were already familiar, drawn from classic games and horror tropes. Creepers, though unique, had become part of Minecraft's identity. But the Enderman was meant to feel different, quiet, slow, and unpredictable. It was designed not to attack outright, but to provoke unease, to make players second-guess their actions and wonder about the hidden depths of the game's lore. When the Enderman was first revealed in 2011 during Minecraft's beta stages, players were shocked. They were taller than any other mob, with long, spindly arms and glowing purple eyes. Their ability to pick up and move blocks instantly set them apart from every other creature in the game. This behavior alone felt strange, almost intelligent, as if they were studying the world around them. Unlike zombies or skeletons, who simply attacked on sight, the Enderman seemed to have its own purpose. Players could walk past them unharmed as long as they avoided eye contact. But the moment you looked directly into their glowing eyes, everything changed. They would freeze, stare back, and then teleport with a sound that felt like static breaking reality. This mechanic alone made the Enderman feel otherworldly, as if they were intruders from beyond. The name Enderman itself was chosen carefully. It was inspired by the Slender Man, a creature of internet folklore that gained popularity in the early 2010s. Slender Man was tall, faceless, and unsettling, often appearing in forests and stories as a silent figure watching from a distance. Notch drew from this idea but gave it a Minecraft twist, turning the faceless terror into something with glowing eyes and teleporting abilities. The similarities were obvious, but the Enderman also became its own creation, shaped by the blocky, playful, yet eerie design language of Minecraft. This blending of internet myth and game mechanics gave birth to something entirely new, a creature that both frightened and fascinated players. The first update that included the Enderman was beta 1.8, often called the Adventure Update. This update was one of the biggest leaps in Minecraft's history, adding hunger, sprinting, villages, strongholds, and of course, the mysterious Enderman. Players exploring at night for the first time after the update suddenly encountered these towering creatures, and the community immediately began buzzing with theories. Why were they here? Why did they pick up blocks? What was the meaning of their strange, distorted sounds? Mojang provided no official explanation, leaving the mysteries deliberately unanswered. This silence allowed players to fill in the gaps with their imagination, giving rise to countless theories and fan stories. The sounds of the Endermen added to their uncanny presence. When they moved, they emitted distorted noises that were unsettling and unlike anything else in the game. Later, it was revealed that these sounds were actually recordings of words spoken in English and played backwards, stretched, and altered until they became nearly incomprehensible. Some players believed they heard phrases like "hi" or "what's up" hidden in the garbled noise. Others thought the sounds were messages from another dimension. This discovery only deepened the mystery and added to the lore surrounding the mob. The design choice was simple yet brilliant. Take something familiar, twist it until it was almost unrecognizable, and let the human mind do the rest. The result was an unsettling feeling that lingered long after encounters. As players encountered Endermen more often, they noticed patterns in their behavior. They picked up blocks seemingly at random: dirt, sand, flowers, and even pumpkins. Sometimes they would place them again, creating eerie little arrangements across the landscape. To this day, no one truly knows why this mechanic was introduced, but it sparked endless speculation. Were the Endermen building something? Were they studying the player's world? Or were they simply chaotic wanderers, guided by strange instincts? This mechanic gave them a sense of purpose, making them feel alive in a way that most Minecraft mobs did not. Their actions could change the world in small, subtle ways, leaving behind evidence that they had been there. In the months after their introduction, the Enderman became one of the most discussed topics in the Minecraft community. Fan theories exploded across forums and videos, linking them to the mysterious Herobrine, another figure of Minecraft legend. Some believed that Endermen were corrupted humans, transformed survivors of a forgotten civilization that once built the strongholds and end cities. Others thought they were guardians of the end, connected to the Ender Dragon and the portals that led to their home dimension. Because Mojang left so much unsaid, the Enderman became a canvas for storytelling, a mob that felt bigger than the game itself. From a design perspective, the Enderman achieved something few other mobs ever did. It played with player psychology. The rule about not looking into their eyes mirrored real-world instincts about staring at predators. In nature, eye contact can be a sign of challenge, a way to provoke aggression. By coding this mechanic into the Enderman, the developers made the encounter feel instinctively tense. You wanted to look at them out of curiosity, but doing so meant danger. This balance of curiosity and fear became one of Minecraft's most iconic mechanics, turning the Enderman into a creature that lived in the player's mind as much as in the game. Over time, Mojang refined the Enderman. In later updates, they introduced the End Dimension, revealing the true home of the Enderman. Suddenly, their name and abilities made sense. They were not random wanderers. They were connected to the void-like world where the Ender Dragon ruled. This gave them context, but it did not erase the mystery. If anything, it raised more questions. Were they servants of the dragon, or independent beings? Did they build the end cities, or did they inherit them from someone else? Even as new updates answered some questions, the Endermen remained elusive. Their origins were rooted in mystery, and their story was always bigger than the information provided. The impact of the Enderman on Minecraft cannot be overstated. They became one of the game's mascots, appearing in merchandise, spin-off titles, and fan creations. Children drew them, modders reimagined them, and players wrote endless stories about them. They stood tall, literally and metaphorically, over the world of Minecraft as symbols of its deeper mysteries. Their introduction marked a turning point, when Minecraft shifted from a simple building game to a universe filled with hidden lore and eerie creatures. The origins of the Enderman show us how a single design decision can ripple outward. From the inspiration of Slenderman to the mechanics of block carrying and teleportation, every choice fed into a creature that sparked fear, curiosity, and imagination. The Endermen began as an experiment in making something unsettling, but they became a cornerstone of Minecraft's identity. They are proof that sometimes the most powerful elements of a game are not the loudest or most direct, but the quiet, subtle figures that linger in the shadows, waiting for you to look their way. And so, as we close this first chapter, we see how the Enderman's journey began. As an idea in a developer's mind, inspired by myth, brought to life in code, and unleashed into a blocky world where they would forever change the way players experienced night, silence, and mystery. Their origins are not just part of Minecraft's history, they are part of its heart, a reminder that even in a world of blocks, there is room for wonder and fear. The physical appearance of the Enderman is one of the most striking features in all of Minecraft. When a player first encounters this tall, shadowy figure, it immediately stands apart from everything else in the world. Zombies, skeletons, and creepers are all unsettling in their own ways, but the Enderman seems different, almost as though it was designed not simply as a monster but as a symbol of something larger. Its proportions alone set it apart. Standing over 3 blocks tall, the Enderman is one of the tallest mobs in the game, towering over the player and other creatures. This immense height makes it feel intimidating, even when it stands silently in the distance. Unlike the squat, square figures of most Minecraft mobs, the Enderman has long, spindly limbs that look unnatural, stretching downward in exaggerated ways. These limbs, combined with its hunched posture, create a silhouette that is instantly recognizable and unsettling. The Enderman's body is entirely black, a shadowy void that absorbs light rather than reflecting it. This design choice makes it appear as if it does not belong in the bright, colorful, blocky world of Minecraft. While cows are brown and white, pigs are pink, and villagers wear earth-toned clothing, the Enderman is pure darkness. This creates a feeling of alien intrusion, as though it has stepped out of another dimension entirely. The black texture also contrasts dramatically with its glowing eyes, which shine in bright purple. These eyes are perhaps the most iconic element of the Enderman's appearance. No other mob has eyes that glow in such a striking way, and the color purple itself suggests something magical, otherworldly, and dangerous. When seen at night, the glowing eyes cut through the darkness, making the Enderman appear like a phantom or spirit wandering the world. The Enderman's face is minimalistic, with only its eyes standing out. There is no nose, no mouth, and no other features to suggest expression. This absence makes the creature feel uncanny. Humans instinctively look for faces, for signs of emotion or intent, and the lack of one creates discomfort. The glowing eyes stare without moving, always fixed in their expressionless glow, making it impossible to know what the Enderman is thinking. This design mirrors the way myths and folklore describe otherworldly beings, silent, faceless, yet always watching. It is this absence of expression that allows players to project their fears and theories onto the Enderman, turning a simple texture into a canvas for imagination. Another part of the Enderman's physical design is its posture and movement. When idle, it moves slowly, almost lazily, as if it is drifting through the world without concern. It swings its arms in long arcs, its gait unhurried, suggesting patience and calm, but when angered, everything about its body language changes. Its mouth opens, revealing a sudden, shocking scream, and its arms thrash violently as it teleports from place to place. The transformation from calm to chaotic is part of what makes the Enderman so unnerving. Its body seems almost too long, too stretched, and when it lashes out, it feels unnatural, as though its limbs should not move in such ways. This physical shift reflects its dual nature: passive observer when ignored, but terrifying predator when provoked. The purple particles that surround the Enderman add yet another dimension to its appearance. These small, glowing flecks trail around it constantly, flickering in and out of sight. They resemble the particles that surround portals and end-related objects, linking the Enderman visually to its mysterious home dimension. These particles also make it stand out in dark environments, turning it into a moving constellation of purple sparks. The constant shimmer of energy around the Enderman suggests that it is not entirely of this world, as though it is being held together by magic or forces beyond comprehension. When it teleports, the particles burst outward, creating an effect that feels both beautiful and frightening, as if reality itself is tearing to allow the creature to move. The sounds tied to the Enderman's appearance deepen its uncanny physical presence. While not a visible trait, the audio connected to it is inseparable from its design. The distorted static noises, which sometimes sound like reverse speech, create a sense that the Enderman is not merely a physical entity, but one that resonates across dimensions. When paired with its tall, shadowy form and glowing eyes, the sounds amplify the unease players feel. The entire creature feels like it has been pulled into the game from another reality, stitched together by sound and sight in a way that does not fully belong. Even the way the Enderman interacts with the environment adds to its physical strangeness. Its ability to pick up and hold blocks gives it a visual quirk that no other mob has. A towering black figure holding a grass block or a pumpkin looks bizarre and unsettling, as if it is collecting pieces of the world for unknown reasons. Watching an Enderman carry something simple creates questions. Why does it want that block? What does it plan to do with it? The visual image of such a strange, tall being with glowing eyes quietly rearranging the world makes it feel intelligent in ways other mobs do not. This behavior contributes to the impression that its design is more than just aesthetic, it suggests purpose. The Enderman's tall frame also affects gameplay in subtle but important ways. Because it is 3 blocks tall, players can defend themselves by hiding under spaces only 2 blocks high. This interaction reinforces its size as part of its identity. The Enderman is physically imposing, but its height also becomes a weakness. The tall, looming figure is intimidating, yet it can be outsmarted by players who understand how to use space. This adds to its role as a unique mob, defined by its size and shape in ways that influence both how it looks and how it functions. Its physical appearance is not just for show. It shapes the experience of encountering it in the world. Over the years, the Enderman's design has remained largely unchanged, which speaks to the strength of its original concept. Many mobs in Minecraft have been redesigned or updated, with textures refined or models adjusted. The Enderman, however, has stayed the same since its introduction. Its tall black form, glowing eyes, and purple particles remain untouched. This consistency has helped solidify it as one of the game's most iconic creatures. Players who saw it for the first time in 2011 would recognize it instantly today. Its design is timeless, balancing simplicity with mystery. In merchandise and spin-off games, the Enderman's appearance has been faithfully preserved. Plush toys, action figures, and even appearances in games like Minecraft Dungeons all keep the tall, shadowy design intact. Children wear costumes mimicking the glowing eyes and long arms, and fans create endless art celebrating its eerie look. The physical appearance of the Enderman transcends the game, becoming part of popular culture. Its silhouette alone is enough to evoke recognition, much like the creeper's iconic shape. But while the creeper is chaotic and explosive, the Enderman is tall, elegant, and uncanny. Its look tells a story without words, a story of a being that does not belong, yet watches us from the shadows. What makes the Enderman's appearance so powerful is its combination of opposites. It is simple yet terrifying, calm yet violent, familiar yet alien. The black body and glowing eyes are a minimalist design, but one that taps into primal fears. Its tall shape feels human-like, but just different enough to trigger discomfort. The purple particles are beautiful, yet hint at danger. The design of the Enderman is proof that sometimes the most effective visuals are not the most detailed, but the ones that leave room for the imagination to fill in the blanks. Players do not need to know exactly what the Enderman is to feel uneasy. They simply need to see it standing there, watching, silent and tall. As we linger on its physical traits, it becomes clear that the Enderman's appearance is not just about graphics or models. It is about mood. Everything, from its height to its glowing eyes to the way it carries blocks, contributes to an atmosphere of mystery. When players talk about their first time encountering an Enderman, they rarely describe mechanics or loot. They describe the feeling, the chill of spotting glowing eyes in the dark, the tension of knowing not to look too long, the shock when it suddenly vanishes in a burst of purple sparks. The physical appearance is more than a design choice. It is the foundation of the Enderman's legend. When players think of the Enderman wandering through Minecraft, their most common encounters happen not in the end, but in the overworld. This is where the mob becomes a mysterious part of nightly exploration. Unlike zombies or skeletons, which hunt the player the moment they appear, Endermen do not behave like ordinary hostile mobs. Their behavior in the overworld is slower, more unpredictable, and far more unsettling. They are found most often at night or in dark caves, spawning under the same light-level conditions as other hostile creatures. But they are taller, stranger, and carry themselves with a calm that feels intentional. Watching an Enderman in the overworld creates a sense of suspense, because you know they will not attack unless provoked. This restraint makes them feel intelligent, as if they are choosing when to engage and when to stay apart from the player. The defining rule of Enderman behavior in the overworld is eye contact. Players can walk right past them with no trouble, but the moment they look into those glowing purple eyes, everything changes. The Enderman stops, locks its gaze, and becomes aggressive. This mechanic is unique in the entire game. No other mob is triggered by the player's gaze in this way. It mirrors real-world instincts about predators staring at one can be interpreted as a challenge. The Enderman in the overworld embodies this idea perfectly. The design forces players to choose, avoid looking at the strange, tall being and remain safe, or risk making eye contact and face the consequences. It adds a psychological tension that other hostile mobs lack. In the overworld, this tension is magnified because Endermen appear in familiar landscapes, making the encounter feel all the more alien and out of place. Teleportation is another signature of Enderman behavior in the overworld. When provoked, They do not simply walk toward the player. They vanish and reappear in sudden bursts, surrounding the player with unsettling unpredictability. This ability to teleport creates panic during combat. You may swing at them, only for them to vanish behind you. They may appear on a hilltop, a tree, or even right next to you in complete silence before striking. This unpredictability makes them feel like predators playing with their prey. Unlike skeletons, which fire arrows from a distance, or zombies, which slowly approach, Endermen in the overworld are masters of space. Their teleportation makes every encounter feel dangerous, not just because of their strength, but because of the tension of not knowing where they will strike from next. The Enderman's ability to carry blocks also shapes its overworld presence. They pick up random blocks like dirt, sand, gravel, and even flowers. Sometimes they place them again in strange positions, creating eerie little signs of their passage. In the overworld, where players are used to controlling the landscape themselves, this behavior stands out. It feels as though the Enderman is interacting with the same world you are, leaving behind subtle evidence that it was there. A single grass block out of place in a field can spark curiosity. Did a player put it there? Or was it carried by one of these wandering creatures? This small mechanic adds depth to overworld encounters because it makes the Enderman feel like more than a simple mob. It gives the impression that it has intentions and habits beyond just fighting. Weather and daylight also affect Enderman behavior in the overworld. Like skeletons and zombies, Endermen spawn most often at night, but they do not burn in sunlight. Instead, they wander freely, even under the bright sky. This makes them unusual compared to other night-based mobs. However, rain affects them strongly. Endermen take damage when they come into contact with water, whether it is from rain, rivers, or even a thrown water bucket. This weakness makes them seem paradoxical, powerful teleporting hunters, but vulnerable to something as simple as rain. In the overworld, this creates unique scenarios. An Enderman may spawn in the open fields at night, become aggressive, and then flee or vanish as soon as it starts raining. The image of such a tall, dangerous creature, escaping from water, adds a layer of strange vulnerability, making it feel more alive and relatable. Their aggression in the overworld is powerful. Endermen hit harder than most other mobs, capable of dealing significant damage even to well-equipped players. Their long arms allow them to strike from a distance, and their teleportation prevents easy escapes. Yet, despite their power, they are not relentless. If a player avoids eye contact or hides under a 2-block-high shelter, the Enderman cannot reach them. This balance makes encounters in the overworld feel like puzzles. The mob is threatening, but clever players can outsmart it. Unlike mobs that simply overwhelm with numbers, Endermen are dangerous because of their behavior. They turn simple nighttime exploration into tense experiences, where the choice of where you look and how you move matters. Another striking element of Enderman behavior in the overworld is their tendency to appear in groups. Though they often spawn alone, sometimes 2 or 3 Endermen appear together, wandering across plains or deserts. Seeing a cluster of them, tall and silent, moving together in the moonlight, creates one of the most haunting sights in the game. They do not make noise unless provoked, so the atmosphere is one of eerie calm. The player is left wondering what they are doing together, what silent purpose they are serving as they wander the landscape. These moments fuel theories about Enderman intelligence and social structure, making them seem more than just hostile mobs. In the overworld, these encounters give weight to the idea that the Enderman may be part of a larger story that players are only glimpsing. Caves add yet another dimension to Enderman behavior. Deep underground, in the darkness of caverns, spotting glowing purple eyes across the stone is startling. The confined spaces make their teleportation even more dangerous, as they can vanish into walls or reappear behind you. Their tall frames sometimes get stuck in narrow tunnels, creating strange, almost humorous moments, but also reminding players that the Enderman size can be both an advantage and a limitation. In caves, water often plays a greater role, providing players with a natural defense against them. Dropping a bucket of water creates safety, but also transforms the environment, leaving streams and waterfalls in the once still cavern. In this way, the presence of an Enderman underground changes not only the encounter but the cave itself. In villages, their behavior becomes even more curious. Occasionally, an Enderman wanders into a village at night, towering over the smaller houses and villagers. They do not interact with villagers directly, but their silent presence amid human-like characters adds an unsettling tone. Some players imagine them as observers, studying the simpler villagers from afar, never interfering but always watching. The contrast between the bustling life of villagers and the silent figure of the Enderman creates a sense of unease, as though two different worlds are brushing against each other. This reinforces the mystery of the mob, making it feel like it does not belong in the overworld at all. Over the years, players have developed strategies to handle Enderman behavior in the overworld. One common tactic is wearing a carved pumpkin on the head. This prevents the Enderman from becoming aggressive when looked at directly. The image of a player wandering at night with a pumpkin on their head, staring freely at Enderman without consequence, has become an iconic part of the game. This mechanic not only offers safety, but also emphasizes the unique behavioral rules of the mob. No other creature requires such a specific, unusual precaution. It reinforces the idea that the Enderman is unlike anything else in Minecraft, requiring players to adjust their behavior and equipment just to survive encounters. Ultimately, Enderman behavior in the overworld is defined by its contradictions. They are passive yet aggressive, calm yet violent, predictable yet unpredictable. They walk slowly but teleport suddenly. They can kill players quickly but flee from rain. They are towering predators yet can be defeated by ducking under a 2-block roof. These contradictions make them endlessly fascinating and unsettling. They do not simply add danger to the night, they add atmosphere, tension, and mystery. Their presence in the overworld transforms ordinary landscapes into places of legend, where glowing eyes might appear across the plains or in the shadows of a cave. The Nether is already one of the most unsettling places in Minecraft. It is a dimension filled with fire, lava, and strange creatures, a landscape that feels more like a nightmare than a home. Within this fiery world, players might not expect to see Endermen at all, yet they appear here, wandering across basalt plains, warped forests, and even near seas of lava. Their behavior in the Nether is both similar to and different from what players know of them in the overworld. Seeing the tall, dark figure in a place already dangerous creates an uncanny overlap of fears. They seem almost more natural in the Nether, yet their presence raises more questions. Why are they here, so far from the end, their true home? Their behavior in this strange world offers clues, but as always, the answers remain elusive. One of the most notable features of Enderman behavior in the Nether is where they choose to spawn. They appear most often in warped forests, a biome filled with twisting blue fungi and tall warped trees. These forests glow with eerie light, making them one of the few peaceful-feeling areas in the Nether. Endermen thrive here, spawning in large numbers, often more than any other mob in the biome. Players traveling through warped forests can sometimes see dozens of them wandering quietly between the trees, creating a sight that is both beautiful and intimidating. Their glowing purple eyes against the teal background of the warped forest make the area feel alive, almost as though it belongs to them. Unlike ghasts, piglins, or magma cubes, Endermen in warped forests seem calm, turning the biome into their sanctuary. Outside of warped forests, Endermen spawn less frequently, but they can appear across other biomes too. In basalt deltas, their dark forms stand out starkly against the gray stone and bubbling lava. In crimson forests, they walk among piglins and hoglins, towering above the red fungi like watchful spirits. Even on the vast open nether wastes, an Enderman may be spotted on a distant lava shore, teleporting from rock to rock. The sight of them in such hostile terrain adds to their mystery. They are immune to fire and lava damage, meaning they can stand among flames without harm. This resistance makes them seem well suited for the nether, more comfortable here than many other mobs. Yet their constant teleportation suggests that they are not entirely at home, always searching, always moving, as though something draws them elsewhere. Their behavior in combat remains consistent with the overworld. If a player makes eye contact, the Enderman becomes aggressive, teleporting rapidly and attacking with powerful strikes. However, in the Nether, this combat feels more chaotic. Lava flows and uneven terrain make it harder to fight safely, and teleportation can send the Enderman into places that are dangerous to reach. One moment, it may appear on a nearby ledge, the next, across a lava pool, daring the player to follow. These battles can feel like duels of patience, with the Enderman using the environment to its advantage. Unlike skeletons or piglins, which rely on direct paths, the Enderman's teleportation makes it a predator that thrives even in the dangerous chaos of the Nether. Water, the usual defense against Endermen, is impossible to place in the Nether without tricks or special mechanics. This changes the balance of encounters dramatically. In the overworld, a player can simply pour water to keep the Enderman at bay, but in the Nether, this safety is gone. The creature becomes more dangerous here, free of its greatest weakness. Without rain or rivers to harm it, the Enderman roams unchallenged, its tall figure looming without fear. This detail reinforces the feeling that the Nether belongs to it just as much as the End does. In this fiery place, it has no natural enemy to hold it back. The absence of water in the Nether makes Enderman encounters more intense, as players must face them with skill and preparation rather than easy tricks. Block carrying is another fascinating behavior that appears in the Nether. Endermen can pick up certain blocks from this dimension, such as netherrack or warped nylium, and carry them as they wander. The image of an Enderman silently holding a glowing warped fungus block among the eerie blue trees adds to the surreal atmosphere. Sometimes they place these blocks again, altering the landscape in small ways. In a dimension already chaotic, these little changes may go unnoticed, but they suggest that the Enderman is just as active here as in the overworld. The idea of them collecting blocks in a place so harsh invites theories. Are they studying the Nether? Are they gathering resources for the End? Or are they simply following instincts we cannot understand? Their behavior here, more than anywhere else, deepens the mystery of their purpose. Endermen in the Nether also interact indirectly with other mobs. Piglins often ignore them, treating them neither as allies nor enemies. Hoglins, large and aggressive, pay them no mind either. Even ghasts, floating above with their mournful cries, do not disturb the tall figures wandering below. This neutrality sets the Enderman apart. In a dimension where nearly everything fights or flees, The Enderman exists outside of these dynamics, untouchable and indifferent. They are neither predator nor prey, but something other. This reinforces the feeling that they do not truly belong to the Nether, but pass through it, always heading towards some greater goal. Players notice this difference, seeing how mobs that constantly fight among themselves ignore the Enderman completely. This behavior only strengthens the idea that the creature is part of a greater, hidden story in Minecraft's universe. The sheer number of Endermen in warped forests has led to speculation among players. Some believe that warped forests are connected to the end dimension, serving as a kind of bridge or echo between worlds. The blue and purple colors of the biome match the glowing eyes and particles of the Endermen, suggesting a thematic link. Others imagine that the warped forests are refuges, safe zones where the Endermen gather when away from their home. Whatever the reason, the concentration of Endermen in these forests makes them one of the most unusual and atmospheric biomes in the game. For players, traveling through one feels like stepping into sacred ground, where tall, silent guardians wander beneath glowing fungi. Their behavior here is not aggressive unless provoked, but the sheer number of them creates tension, as though the player is being observed by an entire community of watchers. Players often farm Endermen in the Nether, especially in warped forests, because of their abundance. Ender pearls, valuable for teleportation and crafting, eyes of Ender drop frequently in these encounters. Yet even in farming, the creature's behavior in the Nether feels special. The battles take place against a backdrop of surreal colors, eerie sounds, and hostile terrain, turning routine combat into something memorable. Unlike the flat plains of the overworld, the Nether challenges players to balance risk and reward. Every strike against an Enderman in this place feels more dangerous, and every pearl dropped feels more hard-earned. This farming behavior has become a core part of survival strategies, linking the Enderman directly to the player's progress toward reaching the end. The persistence of the Enderman in all three dimensions, overworld, Nether, and end, makes it unique among mobs. Its behavior in the Nether, however, highlights its adaptability. Here, it has no natural weakness, no rain to fear, no water to drive it away. It thrives in warped forests, turning them into landscapes filled with silent figures. It ignores the chaos of other mobs, moving with purpose as though on its own mission. It picks up blocks even in this fiery dimension, suggesting curiosity and intent. For players, this makes every sighting of an Enderman in the Nether feel significant. Their tall, dark silhouettes, moving through the glowing blue fog of a warped forest, leave an impression that lingers. They are at once familiar and alien, predators and wanderers, hostile yet passive until challenged. Ultimately, the behavior of Endermen in the Nether adds another layer to their mystery. They seem to belong here, immune to fire and comfortable among the chaos, but they also seem like visitors, never fully part of the ecosystem around them. Their presence raises questions about their origins and their role in Minecraft's world. Are they explorers, moving between dimensions in search of something? Are they remnants of a lost civilization, still wandering, still searching? Or are they simply mobs, designed to unsettle us with their silence and their unpredictability? In the Nether, these questions feel sharper because the Enderman stands out so clearly against the fire, lava, and screaming mobs. It is a reminder that in Minecraft, mystery is not just found in hidden treasures or ancient ruins, but in the quiet figure standing tall, waiting, and watching. The end dimension is the true home of the Enderman. When a player first steps through the shimmering portal, they emerge into a landscape unlike any other in Minecraft. Vast stretches of pale end stone stretch out beneath a black, starless sky. Strange floating islands hang in the void, their edges crumbling into nothingness. It is a place of silence, broken only by the eerie hum of the void and the occasional cries of the ender dragon circling overhead. Here, Endermen are not strangers or wanderers, but natives. Their behavior in this dimension offers the clearest glimpse into what they are and how they exist within the universe of the game. Yet, as always, the answers they provide are only partial. Their movements and habits in the end raise just as many questions as they answer. The most immediate observation when entering the end is the sheer number of Endermen. Unlike the scattered and isolated figures seen in the overworld or nether, the end is populated with crowds of them. Dozens upon dozens can be seen at once, standing silently across the flat stretches of end stone. Sometimes they cluster together in groups. Other times they spread out evenly across the land. Their tall forms dominate the barren terrain, creating a living forest of dark silhouettes. This density makes the end feel inhabited in a way no other dimension does. It suggests that the Endermen are not just creatures of mystery, but the true inhabitants of this dimension, forming its natural ecosystem. Players often describe the first sight of this gathering as one of awe, mixed with dread. The end is their world, and entering it feels like stepping into their domain. Despite their overwhelming numbers, Endermen in the end remain passive unless provoked. A player can walk among them without harm, provided they avoid eye contact. This creates an eerie balance, a sense of fragile peace. Surrounded by dozens of creatures capable of immense damage, the player must move carefully, resisting the urge to stare. It is a strange reversal of roles. The predator becomes the cautious guest, and the silent watchers become the rulers of the land. This passivity feels intentional, as though the Endermen allow the player to walk in their world but never forget to watch. Their behavior reinforces the tension of the end, turning exploration into a careful dance of respect and avoidance. Eye contact, as always, is the trigger for aggression. In the end, however, the consequences of a misstep feel much more dangerous. Angering a single Enderman can quickly escalate into chaos. Surrounded by so many of them, the risk of provoking multiple at once is high. The player may hear the chilling scream of an Enderman echoed by others, their teleportations filling the void with purple flashes of light. The barren terrain offers little cover, and the constant void at the edges makes retreat risky. In this environment, an Enderman's attack is more than a fight, it is a survival challenge. Many players have learned to bring carved pumpkins to the end, wearing them to avoid accidental eye contact. This simple trick speaks to the unique danger posed by Endermen in their home dimension. They turn the act of looking into a hazard, making vision itself part of the challenge. Teleportation is another behavior that feels amplified in the end. The flat expanses of end stone give Endermen room to teleport freely, vanishing and reappearing across the landscape in the blink of an eye. Sometimes, they teleport short distances, circling the player with increasing intensity. Other times, they leap far, reappearing on distant pillars or across the void. Their unpredictable movement adds to the danger of fighting them here. In the overworld, their teleportation often feels defensive, but in the end, it feels purposeful, almost like a hunting strategy. Combined with their numbers, this makes combat in the end uniquely intense. Players often describe the experience as overwhelming, as though the Endermen themselves are defending their world against intruders. One fascinating detail about Enderman behavior in the end is their interaction with the Ender Dragon. Despite sharing the dimension, Enderman and the dragon rarely acknowledge one another. The dragon flies overhead, swooping down to attack players, while the Endermen continue their silent patrols below. On rare occasions, the dragon's attacks may harm Endermen, scattering them briefly, yet they never retaliate, never shift their attention from their endless wandering. This neutrality suggests a strange relationship between the two. Are the Endermen servants of the dragon, guardians of its domain, or are they simply cohabitants, sharing the same world without interfering in each other's existence? Their behavior gives no clear answers, but the coexistence of these two powerful entities deepens the mystery of the end. Block carrying continues in the end as well, though its meaning here feels different. Endermen pick up end stone, dirt, and other available blocks, carrying them as they wander. In a barren world with so few resources, this behavior stands out even more. Watching an Enderman silently holding a block of dirt against the endless expanse of stone raises questions about intent. Why carry these blocks in a place where nothing grows? Are they collecting remnants from other dimensions, brought here through teleportation or portals? Or is it simply instinct, a programmed behavior without meaning? Players often project purpose onto this, imagining the Endermen as builders or gatherers, perhaps slowly constructing something unseen across the islands. Their silent manipulation of blocks in this desolate world feels purposeful, even if no purpose is revealed. When the Ender Dragon is defeated, the behavior of Endermen does not change. They remain, wandering endlessly, unaffected by the fall of the dragon. This detail suggests that their existence is not tied to the dragon's survival. They are older, perhaps more fundamental, part of the end itself. In fact, some players argue that the Endermen feel like the true rulers of the end, while the dragon is merely a final challenge placed there for the player. Their indifference to the dragon's fate reinforces this idea. Whether the dragon lives or dies, the Endermen continue their silent watch, unbothered, eternal. The construction of end cities adds another layer of intrigue to Enderman behavior. These towering structures, filled with loot and guarded by shulkers, are scattered across the end's outer islands. Strangely, Endermen are often found wandering inside or around these cities, as though they have some connection to them. The cities themselves appear abandoned, with no builders left to claim them. This has led to speculation that the Endermen were once the architects of these places, their behavior hinting at a lost civilization. Watching them move through the empty halls, silent and watchful, makes the idea feel plausible. If they did not build the cities, why do they linger there? Are they guardians, explorers, or simply residents of a ruined world? Their behavior offers no explanation, but the sight of them inside these ancient structures deepens the sense of mystery. Even outside of end cities, Endermen fill the outer islands of the end. Their behavior here mirrors that of the central island, wandering passively until provoked. Yet the sheer vastness of the end makes their presence more haunting. On some islands, they gather in groups, their tall forms lining the horizon. On others, they stand alone, solitary figures gazing out into the void. The variety of these encounters gives the end a sense of life, as though the dimension itself is alive with the quiet presence of its inhabitants. For players exploring the far reaches of the end, the consistency of Enderman behavior makes the dimension feel inhabited, not empty. From a gameplay perspective, Endermen in the end are vital for progression. Their pearls, dropped upon defeat, are necessary for crafting and survival. Many players build farms specifically to harvest these resources, exploiting the abundance of Endermen in their home dimension. Yet, even in farming, their behavior retains its unsettling quality. Watching dozens of them spawn and teleport around a farm creates a spectacle unlike any other in the game. They are both resource and mystery, creatures to be harvested yet never fully understood. This dual role reflects their unique place in Minecraft, essential to progression yet symbolic of the unknown. In the end, the behavior of Enderman defines their identity. They are not intruders here, nor anomalies, but the heart of the dimension itself. Their passivity masks their potential for violence. Their silence hides untold stories, and their presence fills the barren landscape with life. Players who enter the end cannot ignore them. They are everywhere, watching, waiting. To walk among them is to walk among the true inhabitants of Minecraft's strangest world. They are the guardians of silence, the keepers of mystery, and the reminder that not every question in this universe is meant to be answered. Their behavior here is not just gameplay, it is storytelling, woven into the fabric of the end. Artificial intelligence in Minecraft is often simple at first glance. Mobs have patterns, predictable behaviors that players quickly learn to exploit. Zombies move toward players, skeletons keep their distance while firing arrows, and spiders climb walls to reach their targets. Endermen, however, feel different. Their artificial intelligence and pathfinding are not just functional, they are unsettling. The way they move, the choices they make, and the limits of their behavior all contribute to their eerie atmosphere. In many ways, their design is proof that mystery can be coded, that even within a game of squares and rules, something can feel uncanny. To understand their lore, it helps to look closely at how their artificial intelligence works and how they navigate the world. One of the most noticeable features of Enderman behavior is their wandering. Unlike many mobs that patrol specific areas or follow set rules, Endermen wander seemingly at random. They walk across the land in long, deliberate strides, turning and shifting direction without obvious purpose. Their pathfinding here is deceptively simple. They choose random targets within a certain radius and move toward them. Yet the result feels intentional, as if they are exploring, inspecting, or even searching for something unseen. The quiet pauses they take, stopping to stand still for several moments before moving again, heighten this effect. While the code behind the movement is straightforward, the experience for the player feels rich with meaning. Each pause suggests thought. Each turn suggests choice, even though it is only numbers and instructions beneath the surface. Their teleportation is one of the clearest examples of artificial intelligence creating mystery. Endermen teleport when attacked, when exposed to water, or when searching for new positions. The logic is practical. Teleport to avoid danger or to reposition during combat. Yet in practice, the teleportation feels unpredictable. The purple flash of particles, the sudden empty space where they once stood, and the eerie sound that accompanies it all create an impression of control beyond coding. Sometimes, they teleport just far enough to remain in sight, as though taunting the player. Other times, they vanish entirely, only to return moments later in a new position. This behavior makes them feel like hunters, capable of moving in ways players cannot fully anticipate. The randomness of their teleportation ensures no two encounters are the same, adding layers of tension and unpredictability. Endermen are also unique in their block interaction. Their artificial intelligence allows them to pick up specific blocks, carry them, and place them elsewhere. The list of blocks they can interact with is limited: dirt, sand, gravel, grass blocks, and a few others, but the effect is profound. Unlike zombies or skeletons, who exist only as threats, Endermen shape their environment. This block-carrying behavior is coded as a simple chance-based event. Every so often, an Enderman decides to pick up a block within reach. Later, it may decide to place the block down again at a random location. Yet for players, this small mechanic transforms the Enderman from predator to builder. It implies curiosity, intention, and intelligence. Seeing a dirt block out of place, carried by an Enderman, feels like finding a clue in a larger puzzle. Why do they move blocks? Are they building something unseen? Are they collecting? Or are they merely restless wanderers? Pathfinding during combat is where Endermen truly stand apart. When angered, they focus on the player with relentless determination. Their artificial intelligence directs them to close the distance, teleporting when obstacles block the path. Unlike zombies, who may stumble into hazards, Endermen bypass terrain entirely. They are not bound by walls or water, though water damages them. Instead, they teleport to high ground, behind the player, or even into difficult spaces. This ability makes them feel tactical, as though they are thinking about the fight. Of course, the reality is more mechanical. Their pathfinding looks for open spaces within range, and their teleportation helps them bypass barriers, but the result is unnerving. It feels like fighting a creature that knows how to flank, to retreat, and to return with renewed force. Another detail in their combat artificial intelligence is their hesitation. Endermen do not attack instantly. They scream, their jaw opens, and their entire body shakes before striking. This delay may seem like a flaw in coding, but it adds to their atmosphere. It feels like they are charging with rage, building up energy before releasing it. The moment between their scream and their strike is filled with tension. Players know the attack is coming, but the wait makes it worse. It is a reminder that artificial intelligence does not need to be fast to be effective. Sometimes, slowness creates more fear than speed. Endermen also have unique rules about aggro. Most mobs forget their target if the player runs far enough or hides behind obstacles. Endermen, however, remember. Once provoked, they will remain hostile until the player dies, the Enderman is defeated, or the player escapes completely. Their artificial intelligence is coded to hold on to aggression, making them one of the most persistent mobs in the game. This persistence adds to their mythic quality. It is as though they never forget a slight, never forgive an insult. To look at one is to cross a line, and once crossed, it cannot be undone. This relentless pursuit makes them feel personal, as though each Enderman remembers the player who dared to challenge it. In terms of navigation, Endermen are surprisingly capable. Their tall frames allow them to step over blocks that stop smaller mobs, and their teleportation lets them bypass obstacles entirely. Unlike creepers or skeletons, who often get stuck, Endermen seem always able to reach the player eventually. Their artificial intelligence searches for spaces large enough to accommodate their tall frames, ensuring they do not teleport into cramped areas. This makes them feel aware of their size, as though they understand the world they inhabit. Their ability to appear in unexpected places behind walls, on top of structures, even on rooftops gives them an edge over other mobs. It also adds to their uncanny atmosphere, as though they can move with a freedom no other being in Minecraft possesses. Endermen also have unique interactions with environmental hazards. They avoid water instinctively, teleporting away when touched by rain, rivers, or buckets. This reaction is coded as damage avoidance, yet it appears like fear. The way they flinch and vanish when struck by a drop of water feels emotional, even though it is mechanical. Fire and lava, by contrast, do not harm them, making them immune to one of the greatest dangers in the game. This selective vulnerability contributes to their mystery. Why water? Why not fire? What about water makes them suffer so much that they flee instantly? The artificial intelligence provides no answers, but the behavior fuels endless theories. Perhaps it ties them to the end, a dry world untouched by rivers or seas. Perhaps it hints at a forgotten origin, a weakness carried from another form of existence. Another layer of their artificial intelligence lies in how they interact with other mobs. For the most part, Endermen ignore other creatures. They do not hunt pigs, cows, or chickens. They do not fight zombies or skeletons. They exist apart from the cycle of predator and prey that defines other mobs. Their artificial intelligence excludes these interactions, but the absence feels meaningful. It makes them seem aloof, uninterested in the affairs of the world. Yet there are exceptions. Occasionally, Endermen will become hostile toward Endermites, tiny silverfish-like creatures that spawn when an ender pearl is used. This hostility feels deliberate, as though the mites are enemies or parasites. Players often wonder what this relationship means. Are the mites pests that bother Endermen? Are they remnants of something larger? The artificial intelligence creates this link, but the lore it suggests is much larger than the code itself. The sound design of Endermen complements their artificial intelligence perfectly. Their distorted speech, made from reversed and altered phrases, plays at random intervals as they wander. It is not tied to combat or actions directly, but it creates a sense of awareness. The sounds make it feel as though the Enderman is muttering, speaking, or even thinking as it moves. Combined with their pauses, their block carrying, and their teleportation, the sounds create the illusion of thought. Players hear the garbled words and project intelligence onto them, imagining that the Enderman is whispering secrets in a forgotten tongue. This is the magic of artificial intelligence combined with sound. It transforms mechanical behavior into living mystery. Ultimately, the artificial intelligence and pathfinding of Enderman are simple in structure but profound in impact. They wander randomly, pick up blocks, teleport when threatened, and pursue players with persistence. Yet the result feels alive. Their hesitation before attacks, their immunity to lava, their weakness to water, and their hostility toward Endermites all add layers of personality. Their pathfinding ensures they can always reach the player. Their teleportation ensures they remain unpredictable, and their persistence ensures they are never forgotten. Together, these traits create one of the most unsettling and memorable mobs in Minecraft. The genius of Enderman design lies in how artificial intelligence can suggest lore without stating it outright. Players see their behavior and imagine stories. Builders turned wanderers, guardians of the end, cursed beings fleeing from water, or lost travelers searching for home. The artificial intelligence itself is not complex, but the way it combines with atmosphere, sound, and player imagination creates depth. Endermen prove that in a world of squares, mystery can be coded, and silence can tell stories. Their pathfinding is not just about reaching a player. It is about creating the feeling of being pursued by something intelligent, something watching, something waiting. One of the strangest and most unsettling aspects of the Enderman is its voice. While many mobs in Minecraft have distinctive sounds, such as the groans of zombies or the hisses of creepers, the Enderman's noises feel different. They are not just animalistic cries or environmental effects. Instead, they sound almost human, almost like words spoken through distortion. These noises are garbled, stretched, and reversed, carrying with them the sense of a language we are not meant to understand. It is this sound design that has fueled years of speculation, theories, and myths about what the Enderman is saying and why. The so-called Enderman language remains one of the most mysterious features in the game, half technical trick, half legend. The sounds that Endermen make can be divided into a few categories. There are the idle noises, soft murmurs and whispers that play when they are wandering. These are the ones most often associated with speech. They occur at random, creating the impression that Endermen are muttering to themselves, perhaps conversing in a tongue we cannot interpret. Then there are the aggressive noises, the screams and growls that play when an Enderman is provoked. These are louder, distorted to the point of harshness, and accompanied by the creature's attack animations. Finally, there are the teleportation sounds, a strange, low vibration paired with sharp echoes. Together, these categories form the Enderman's voice, a voice that stands apart from any other mob in the game. The secret behind the Enderman language lies in its origins. The sounds are not entirely random creations. They are based on actual phrases spoken in English. Mojang developers recorded words and sentences, then reversed them, slowed them, sped them up, and layered effects until the result became alien. Among the phrases hidden in the sounds are words like hello, what's up, and hi. When reversed, these fragments become strange, eerie utterances that feel like a lost language. Players who discovered this through audio editing were stunned. The revelation that Endermen were, in some way, speaking created an entirely new dimension to their lore. They were no longer simply tall, silent mobs. They were communicators, perhaps with thoughts, ideas, or even a history. The random muttering noises are the ones most often tied to speculation about a true language. Because they play during wandering and idling, they suggest casual communication, as though Endermen are talking to one another or thinking aloud. The distortion prevents understanding, but the rhythm feels intentional. It does not sound like a natural growl or animalistic sound. It sounds structured. Fans began to imagine that the Endermen were speaking to each other in a language too old, too broken, or too foreign for players to recognize. This interpretation transformed them from mere mobs into beings with culture and intelligence, deepening their role in the imagined history of Minecraft's universe. The aggressive noises add another layer of meaning. When angered, an Enderman's voice becomes louder and harsher, as though shouting. The reversal of words makes the screams sound inhuman, yet fragments can still be detected. Some players report hearing reversed phrases like, "look for the eye," or "I don't know." Whether these interpretations are accurate or simply products of imagination, they add fuel to the myth. The idea that Endermen shout words of warning or rage when provoked makes combat with them feel more personal. Unlike skeletons or zombies, which make sounds with no sense of language, the Enderman seems to direct its voice at the player in ways that feel intentional. Teleportation noises may not sound like words at all, but they still feel connected to the concept of communication. The low hums and sharp echoes that accompany their vanishing act resemble distorted signals, like radio interference. Some players interpret these sounds as part of a larger system of communication, as though Endermen send signals across dimensions when they teleport. The idea that their teleportation comes with a coded language fits well with their mysterious nature. It suggests that they are not simply moving physically, but also transmitting something unseen. Whether this is lore or simply creative interpretation, it shows how the Enderman's sounds encourage endless speculation. Theories about the Enderman language often connect it to their origins. One of the most popular fan theories is that Endermen were once humans, transformed or cursed into their current state. Their garbled speech, half understandable and half alien, supports this. If they were once people, Perhaps their language was fractured in the transformation, leaving only distorted echoes of human words. The reverse speech could symbolize a corrupted memory, a language lost to time but lingering in fragments. This interpretation is both haunting and compelling, offering a tragic explanation for why these creatures wander silently, carrying blocks and avoiding water. They might be remnants of something greater, trapped between memory and silence. Others suggest that the Enderman language is not human at all, but the language of the end. The idea is that the end dimension has its own rules, its own culture, and its own voice, and the Endermen are its keepers. Their reversed speech is not corruption but translation, a sound too strange for human ears to process correctly. What players hear as garbled fragments could be perfect sentences in their own tongue. This theory casts them not as broken remnants, but as complete beings speaking fluently in a system we simply cannot understand. It elevates them from cursed wanderers to guardians of a hidden civilization. Players have gone so far as to create dictionaries and translations of Enderman speech. Online communities have attempted to decode the garbled sounds, assigning meanings to repeated phrases and trying to build a language. While no definitive translation exists, these projects highlight the fascination the Enderman language inspires. Fans want to believe that the creatures have a voice, that their mutterings carry meaning. Even if the coding behind the sounds is simple audio reversal, the effect is powerful enough to inspire entire fan-made languages. This blending of game design and community creativity shows how effective the Enderman sounds are at capturing the imagination. The comparison between the Enderman language and real-world myths is also worth noting. Many cultures have stories of beings who speak in distorted tongues, spirits, demons, or creatures from other worlds. Their voices are often described as human-like but strange, close enough to be recognizable yet far enough to feel threatening. The Enderman's language fits perfectly into this archetype. It is human speech made alien, familiar but unsettling. By tapping into this archetypal sound, Minecraft's developers created a mob that resonates with deep cultural ideas of fear and mystery. The Enderman becomes not just a game creature, but part of a larger tradition of the uncanny. One particularly eerie aspect of their language is how it blends with silence. Unlike many mobs that constantly make noise, Endermen spend long stretches in complete quiet. Their muttering is intermittent, their screams rare, their teleportation sounds occasional. This use of silence creates space for imagination. When the mutterings finally arrive, they stand out all the more. It is as though the Enderman chooses its words carefully, speaking only when necessary. For players, this creates the impression that the creatures are deliberate, thoughtful, and watchful. The silence is part of their communication, a language of absence as much as presence. Ultimately, the Enderman language is one of the most brilliant design choices in Minecraft. By reversing simple English phrases and layering effects, the developers created a sound that feels both human and alien. This small detail elevates the mob from mysterious to legendary. Their mutterings suggest intelligence, their screams suggest rage, and their teleportation noises suggest hidden communication. Players interpret these sounds as fragments of a language, whether human memory, lost civilization, or alien tongue. The ambiguity is the point. The Enderman's language does not give answers, it invites questions. It asks players to imagine, to fill the silence with their own stories. And in that space, the Enderman becomes more than code, more than sound. It becomes a legend, whispered across servers, a voice in the dark that no one fully understands. When the Enderman was first introduced into Minecraft, It did not take long for the community to begin weaving stories around it. Unlike zombies or creepers, which were quickly understood in terms of gameplay, the Enderman was strange enough to spark imagination. Its silent wandering, its habit of carrying blocks, its unsettling stare, all of these details felt like pieces of a puzzle waiting to be solved. Because Mojang gave no official backstory, players filled the gap themselves. In forums, videos, and multiplayer servers, legends of the Enderman began to form. These stories were not just explanations of game mechanics, but full myths that gave the mob personality and history. To this day, the community legends remain one of the most fascinating aspects of Enderman lore, blending fact, speculation, and creativity into tales that make the game feel deeper than its code. One of the earliest legends was that Endermen were connected to Herobrine. Herobrine, the mythical figure said to be a ghostly version of the game's creator, already held a strong place in community imagination. Some players suggested that Endermen were his servants or creations, sent into the world to collect blocks for some mysterious project. Their block-carrying behavior fit perfectly into this theory, as though they were gathering resources to build something on Herobrine's behalf. Others imagined that Endermen were the remains of players who had been claimed by Herobrine, their human forms stretched into tall shadows, their speech corrupted into garbled whispers. These connections blurred the lines between two different myths, strengthening the sense that Minecraft's world was full of secrets hidden just beyond reach. Another common legend is that Endermen are the remnants of a lost civilization. This theory suggests that the structures found in the game's strongholds, abandoned mine shafts, and end cities were once built by humans. Over time, something terrible happened, transforming these people into the Endermen. Their tall forms, their ability to carry blocks, and their presence in the ruins of end cities all support this idea. Players who believe this theory often point to the fact that Endermen drop ender pearls, items tied to teleportation and dimension travel. Perhaps, they say, the lost civilization experimented with dimensional technology and was cursed for it. The whispers of the Enderman's language are interpreted as fragments of human speech, broken by time and transformation. This legend paints the Enderman not as a monster, but as a tragic figure, a builder cursed to wander forever. In multiplayer servers, stories of Enderman encounters often take on ghostly tones. Players report seeing Endermen appear in places where they should not be, standing silently outside houses, or watching from the edge of render distance. These sightings fuel the legend that Endermen are not just mobs, but observers. They are said to watch players with purpose, studying their builds and their movements. Some stories go further, suggesting that Endermen copy the player, learning from them, and even rebuilding structures in their own dimension. These tales often describe players returning to the end and finding versions of their overworld builds mirrored there, as if the Enderman had taken inspiration. While these stories are fabrications, they capture the eerie sense that the Enderman's behavior has meaning. Their silence leaves space for imagination, and in that silence, players create myths of watchers who learn and remember. One legend that has persisted for years is that Endermen can steal valuable blocks. While the actual list of blocks they can carry is limited, many players have sworn they saw an Enderman holding diamond ore or obsidian. These claims are often made in jest, but they reveal something deeper, the idea that Endermen are thieves. In this version of the myth, they are not just wandering but scavenging, taking the world apart piece by piece. Some stories go further, suggesting that if too many Endermen are left unchecked, they will eventually dismantle entire villages, leaving only scattered remnants. Though this is not possible in the game, The idea persists because it fits the unsettling feeling of the mob. Their small changes to the world, though limited, hint at what might happen if their abilities were not constrained by code. The Enderman's connection to light and darkness has also fueled stories. Because they avoid water and spawn in darkness, some players believe they are creatures of shadow, unable to survive in the natural world. Legends tell of Endermen that once thrived under the sun but were banished to the end for crimes unknown. Their glowing eyes are said to be the last remnants of light they carry with them, shining through the darkness of their new existence. Other versions of this myth suggest that the Endermen are servants of the void, agents of an endless hunger that seeks to swallow the light of all dimensions. These interpretations are not based on mechanics but on atmosphere, proof that the Enderman's design is powerful enough to inspire mythology far beyond the game itself. Community legends also often focus on the Enderman's language. Because the sounds are garbled and reversed, players interpret them as hidden messages. Stories circulate about players who slowed down the sounds and discovered warnings or secrets. Some claim the Endermen say phrases like, "Leave me alone," or "This is my home." Others imagine longer conversations, as though the Endermen are constantly whispering to each other about the player's actions. In some myths, these whispers are attempts to communicate, as though the Endermen want to warn players about dangers they cannot see. In darker versions, the whispers are curses, threats muttered just beyond understanding. The ambiguity of the sounds fuels endless possibilities, each one adding to the creature's mystique. There are also playful legends about Endermen. Some stories imagine them as gardeners, carrying flowers and placing them in patterns. Others describe them as pranksters, moving blocks around just to confuse players. These lighter interpretations show the versatility of the Enderman myth. They can be terrifying, tragic, or even humorous, depending on the story. In every version, however, they remain mysterious. Their silence, their height, and their glowing eyes make them larger than life, figures that refuse to be fully explained. The most enduring community legend is perhaps the simplest, that Endermen are always watching. This belief is supported by their behavior, as they stand still and stare when idle. Players often report the unsettling feeling of being observed by them, even when they are not hostile. In servers where multiple players build together, stories emerge of Endermen appearing near bases, standing motionless for minutes at a time. These sightings become tales of watchers, beings who record the actions of players for unknown reasons. The legend transforms them from passive mobs into active participants in the player's story, silent witnesses to every build and every journey. What makes community legends about Endermen so powerful is the lack of official lore. Mojang has never explained their origins in detail, never confirmed or denied the myths. This silence leaves space for creativity. In that space, players project their fears, hopes, and imaginations onto the mob. The result is a living mythos, one that grows with each telling. A new player might first hear about Endermen as thieves, or watchers, or cursed builders. Even if none of these stories are true, they add richness to the experience of encountering one. The legends become part of the atmosphere, shaping how players feel when they see those glowing eyes in the dark. Ultimately, community legends are as much a part of Enderman lore as the mob itself. They remind us that games are not just code and mechanics, but shared stories. The Enderman's silence invites those stories, turning it into a vessel for imagination. In the end, it does not matter whether Endermen were once humans, or builders, or servants of Herobrine. What matters is the feeling they inspire, a chill of being watched, a whisper of the unknown, a sense that the world is deeper than what is seen. The legends live because the Enderman is designed to leave space for them, and in that space, entire mythologies take root. The Enderman is more than a mob in Minecraft, it is an experiment in psychology. Many hostile creatures in the game threaten the player with straightforward danger. Zombies chase, skeletons shoot arrows, and creepers explode. Their threat is physical, immediate, and easy to understand. The Enderman, however, works differently. Its danger lies not just in its attack power, but in the way it makes players think and feel. The developers designed it to provoke unease, to stir emotions that are deeper than simple combat. It is a creature of silence, observation, and sudden aggression. Its effect on player psychology is one of the reasons it has become such an iconic part of the game, remembered long after a fight ends. One of the first psychological tricks the Enderman plays is through its height. Standing over 3 blocks tall, it is larger than any other mob in the overworld or nether. This height creates intimidation. Players, used to fighting mobs roughly their own size, suddenly face something looming above them. The long arms, stretching down past its knees, emphasize its unnatural proportions. This plays into a deep human instinct, fear of the uncanny. The Enderman is humanoid in shape, but too tall, too thin, and too alien to feel comfortable. It looks like a distorted version of a person, familiar enough to recognize, but strange enough to unsettle. This uncanny valley effect is a deliberate design choice, making players feel nervous before the creature even moves. The rule about eye contact deepens this psychological impact. In real life, eye contact is a powerful form of communication. It can mean connection, respect, or challenge. Among animals, staring directly can provoke aggression, signaling threat. The Enderman borrows this rule and applies it in the game world. Players learn quickly that looking into its glowing purple eyes will trigger aggression. The moment when the Enderman locks its gaze in return is chilling. It feels personal, as though the mob is acknowledging you directly. No other creature in the game reacts to being looked at in this way. The result is tension every time an Enderman is near. Do you risk looking at it to keep track of its movements, or do you avert your eyes and trust it will not attack? This psychological dilemma turns a simple mechanic into a source of fear. Teleportation adds another layer of tension. In combat, most mobs follow predictable paths. You can watch them approach, dodge their projectiles, or block their attacks. The Enderman defies this predictability. It vanishes and reappears, surrounding the player with sudden bursts of sound and particles. The unpredictability of its teleportation is what makes it frightening. You never know where it will strike next, and this uncertainty forces players into a heightened state of awareness. Psychologically, this taps into a basic fear of the unseen. Humans are wired to fear what they cannot predict or control. The Enderman embodies this fear, moving in ways that feel chaotic even though they follow coded rules. The sound design amplifies this effect, with the sharp, distorted noises of teleportation making each disappearance feel like reality itself has been disturbed. The Enderman's silence when idle is another psychological trick. Most mobs make constant noise, zombies groan, spiders hiss, skeletons rattle. These sounds signal their presence, allowing players to prepare. Endermen, however, spend long stretches in complete quiet. They stand still, staring, making no sound at all. This silence is unnerving, creating the impression that they are waiting or watching. When they do finally make a noise, the effect is amplified by the contrast. A sudden, garbled whisper after a minute of silence feels more meaningful, as though the Enderman has chosen that moment deliberately. Silence itself becomes part of its psychological design, a tool to create unease. Another important aspect of player psychology is the way Endermen break the rules of the world. Minecraft is a game where players expect to control the environment. You mine blocks, place them, and shape the world to your will. The Enderman disrupts this expectation by picking up and moving blocks itself. This small act carries immense psychological weight. It suggests that the Enderman shares the player's power, that it too can alter the world. Suddenly, the environment is not fully yours. There is another being who can rearrange it, leaving signs of its presence behind. A dirt block out of place or a flower lifted into the air becomes evidence of a hidden interaction. This mechanic gives players the impression that they are not the only ones shaping the world, that something else has agency. The Enderman's vulnerability to water also plays into psychology. On the one hand, it makes them seem weaker, offering players a way to defend themselves. On the other hand, it creates a strange contrast. A towering, powerful creature, undone by rain. This contradiction raises questions and creates unease. Why should something so strong fear something so ordinary? The vulnerability humanizes the Enderman, making it relatable, yet also alien, as though it operates under rules we cannot fully understand. Psychologically, it reinforces the feeling that the Enderman is not of our world, that its strengths and weaknesses follow logic from somewhere else. The aggression of Enderman is particularly impactful because it feels personal. Zombies attack anyone. Skeletons shoot at whatever target is closest. But Endermen only attack if provoked by direct eye contact or by a hit. This creates the impression that they choose their battles. When an Enderman becomes aggressive, it feels like a response to you specifically, not just to your presence. This personal quality makes the encounter more memorable. Players often recall not just that they fought an Enderman, but that they angered it, that they crossed a line. The fight becomes more than survival, it becomes a consequence of an action. This blurring of game mechanics and emotional interpretation is what makes the Enderman stand out. Over time, players develop habits shaped by these psychological effects. Many avoid looking at Endermen altogether, keeping their heads down when one is near. Others wear carved pumpkins as helmets, sacrificing visibility just to avoid the anxiety of accidental eye contact. Some build shelters with low ceilings, ensuring that Endermen cannot follow them inside. These habits reveal the depth of the mob's impact. It is not just another enemy to fight. It is a presence that shapes how players explore, build, and behave. The game becomes more than mechanics. It becomes a psychological space where the Enderman's influence lingers. Community reactions to the Enderman show how effective this design is. Stories of fear, surprise, and tension fill forums and videos. Players describe their first encounters as moments of genuine fright. Even experienced players sometimes admit that the sight of multiple Endermen on the horizon makes them uneasy. This collective response highlights the universal nature of the psychology at play. The design taps into instincts shared across people: fear of the uncanny, fear of being watched, fear of unpredictability. The Enderman resonates because it is not just a coded mob, but a mirror of human fears. The psychological impact of Endermen extends beyond the game itself. They appear in fan art, stories, and animations as figures of mystery, often depicted as watchers or guardians. Their silence and height become symbols of unease. Children describe them in the same way they might describe monsters from bedtime stories, frightening yet fascinating. This cultural presence shows how deeply the mob affects imagination. It is not just about pixels on a screen, it is about the feelings those pixels inspire. The Enderman's power lies not in its damage points or health, but in its ability to linger in the mind long after the game is closed. Ultimately, The psychology of the Enderman is what makes it legendary. Its design leverages fear of the uncanny, the power of silence, the unpredictability of teleportation, and the personal nature of eye contact. It breaks the rules of the world by moving blocks, creating unease about agency. It balances strength with vulnerability, raising questions about its nature, and it creates encounters that feel personal, shaping player habits and memories. In a game filled with hostile mobs, the Enderman stands apart because it is more than a challenge, it is an experience. It turns fear into gameplay, silence into tension, and presence into story. That is why, even years after its introduction, the Enderman remains one of the most iconic and unsettling creatures in Minecraft. Among all the items in Minecraft, few carry the same sense of mystery and power as the Ender Pearl. This glowing green orb, dropped by Endermen upon defeat, is both practical and symbolic. For many players, their first Ender Pearl marks a turning point in the game. It is not just loot from a fight, but a tool that changes how one experiences the world. The pearl allows teleportation, a power unique to this item, echoing the abilities of the Enderman itself. When you hold one, you are holding a fragment of their essence, a piece of their strange magic. Its design and function reflect the psychology and lore surrounding the Enderman, and its role in the broader narrative of Minecraft cannot be overstated. The first layer of mystique lies in how Ender Pearls are obtained. Unlike other rare items, they cannot be mined or crafted. They must be earned through confrontation. You face the tall, unsettling creature, you endure its teleportation and aggression, and only then might it drop this glowing reward. Even then, the drop is not guaranteed. The uncertainty adds value. Each pearl feels hard-won, a symbol of overcoming fear. The mechanics ensure that Ender Pearls are associated with challenge and bravery. They are not casual items. They carry the memory of battle. Once obtained, the pearl reveals its unique property, teleportation. When thrown, it carries the player to the location where it lands. This mechanic is revolutionary because it breaks the rules of movement. Normally, players must walk, swim, or ride to reach destinations. The pearl allows an instantaneous leap, a sudden shift through space. The cost is health. Each use inflicts damage, reminding the player that power comes with sacrifice. Psychologically, this balances the thrill of teleportation with caution. You can escape danger, cross ravines, or surprise enemies, but you cannot use it recklessly. The item embodies the duality of risk and reward, echoing the mysterious and dangerous nature of the Enderman itself. The design of the pearl, glowing green with shifting particles, reinforces its alien quality. Unlike diamonds, emeralds, or other precious items, it does not look like something of the earth. Its colors are unnatural, more like the end dimension than the overworld. Holding one feels like holding a piece of another world, as if the Enderman left behind a fragment of its home. The sound when using the pearl, a sharp noise of dissonant magic, adds to this otherworldly impression. Every detail reminds the player that this item is not part of ordinary reality. Lore-wise, the Ender Pearl suggests a connection between Enderman and teleportation magic. In the game's mechanics, Endermen teleport without visible tools. When defeated, however, they drop pearls, as though each creature carried its ability within them. This raises intriguing questions. Are pearls a natural organ of the Enderman, something like a core that powers its teleportation, or are they crystallized energy, formed from the dimension of the end itself? The game does not explain, leaving room for interpretation. Fans have built theories that pearls are the remnants of an Enderman's essence, a piece of its soul. This interpretation adds a layer of gravity to their use. Each teleport feels like borrowing from a fallen creature's life force. The role of ender pearls expands further when combined with blaze powder to form eyes of ender. Suddenly, they become not just tools, but keys to the ultimate adventure. Eyes of ender guide the player to strongholds, the hidden gateways to the end. This transforms pearls into symbols of destiny. They are required to progress, to unlock the path to the final battle against the Ender Dragon. Without pearls, the story of Minecraft cannot be completed. Their connection to both the Enderman and the end itself creates a powerful narrative thread. You must confront the Enderman, gather their pearls, and use them to face the ultimate challenge. The item ties together the player's journey with the lore of the game. In multiplayer, Ender Pearls take on new strategic dimensions. Players use them in combat to dodge attacks, escape traps, or surprise opponents. Throwing a pearl over walls or across gaps allows for unexpected maneuvers. This transforms them into tools of cunning as well as survival. Skilled players demonstrate remarkable creativity with pearls, using them in ways that seem almost magical. This flexibility adds to their mystique. They are not just items, they are instruments of ingenuity. The community's use of pearls showcases their versatility, reinforcing their role as one of the most powerful tools in the game. Speedrunners also rely heavily on ender pearls. In the race to finish Minecraft as quickly as possible, pearls are essential for reaching strongholds. The search for Enderman, the collection of pearls, and the crafting of Eyes of Ender are pivotal steps. This necessity elevates the item's importance. Viewers of speedruns come to recognize the tension of pearl collection, the relief when enough are obtained, and the excitement when they are used to locate a stronghold. The pearl becomes part of the drama of Minecraft, shaping the narrative of competition and achievement. From a cultural standpoint, ender pearls have inspired countless discussions, theories, and even art. Players imagine them as enchanted artifacts, sometimes as crystallized tears of Enderman, sometimes as alien stones infused with void energy. Their role as teleportation devices connects them to myths of magic portals and ancient runes. In fan stories, pearls often serve as relics of power, carrying emotional and symbolic weight beyond their mechanics. The community has embraced the mystery, filling the silence left by the developers with creativity. This shows how deeply the item resonates, sparking imagination as well as gameplay. The health cost of using pearls deserves special attention. Unlike most tools, which provide benefit without drawback, the pearl demands a price. Each throw inflicts damage on the player. This mechanic reflects a common theme in mythology, the idea that powerful magic comes with sacrifice. The use of pearls becomes a choice. Do you risk your health for safety, speed, or advantage? This creates moments of tension where the decision matters. The mechanic transforms the pearl from a mere utility into a moral choice, echoing stories of humans who wield dangerous magic at personal cost. The lore of sacrifice enriches the item's mystique, making it feel more like a legendary artifact than a simple drop. In survival worlds, pearls become treasured items for exploration. Crossing dangerous ravines, reaching high ledges, or escaping enemies all become easier with their use. Players remember the times when a single pearl saved their lives. These memories add emotional value to the item. It is not just what pearls can do, it is what they have done, the personal stories they enable. In this way, the pearl becomes part of the player's narrative, linked to moments of triumph and relief. Ultimately, ender pearls are more than an item. They are symbols of mystery, sacrifice, and destiny. They embody the power of the Enderman, linking the overworld to the end. They demand courage to obtain, strategy to use, and imagination to understand. Their role in crafting Eyes of Ender ties them directly to the ultimate quest, making them essential to Minecraft's narrative. Their design, their mechanics, and their cultural impact all contribute to their mystique. Holding an Ender Pearl is not just holding an item, it is holding a fragment of lore, a piece of the game's deepest mysteries. This mystique explains why players continue to treasure pearls long after their first encounter. They are more than resources. They are artifacts of another world, tokens of encounters with one of Minecraft's most enigmatic mobs. Each pearl carries a story, each use a choice. In the end, they remind us of the strange and wonderful depth hidden in the simplest of pixels, and why the Enderman's legacy continues to shape the way we experience Minecraft. If the Ender Pearl is a fragment of mystery, the Eye of Ender is the key that unlocks the path to Minecraft's final destination. Crafted by combining the pearl with blaze powder, the eye becomes more than a utility. It becomes a symbol of progress, destiny, and inevitability. It is the player's compass toward the unknown, guiding them to hidden strongholds buried deep beneath the earth. Unlike any other item, the Eye of Ender is not about the present moment, but about the future. It is the game whispering, there is something more. To hold an eye is to hold possibility, a promise of adventure that lies beyond the overworld. The process of crafting Eyes of Ender is, in itself, symbolic. You must first conquer the Nether, a place of fire and danger, to obtain blaze powder. Then you must face the Endermen, tall watchers of the overworld and end, to collect pearls. Only by uniting these two opposites, fire from the Nether and mystery from the end, can the eye be created. It is a synthesis of two realms, proof that the player has grown strong enough to face the challenges of both. Psychologically, this crafting process reflects balance. The player combines heat and void, light and shadow, to create a tool that points the way forward. The recipe is simple in mechanics, but profound in meaning. The eye's primary function is to lead players to strongholds. When thrown into the air, it drifts toward the hidden structure, sometimes shattering in the process. This mechanic creates suspense. Each throw is a moment of tension. Will the eye survive, or will it break? This uncertainty forces players to collect many eyes before setting out, planning carefully for the journey ahead. The mechanic teaches preparation, patience, and resource management. It also builds drama. Each throw feels like casting a line into fate, watching as it pulls you towards something ancient and unknown. Strongholds themselves are symbols of mystery, buried labyrinths filled with libraries, prisons, and empty hallways. At the heart of each lies the End Portal, a frame that can only be completed with Eyes of Ender. This design makes the eye not only a guide, but also a key. You follow it to the structure, and then you use it to unlock the gateway within. The double purpose emphasizes its role as Destiny's tool. Without the eye, strongholds remain silent, their portals inactive. With the eye, the gateway awakens, shimmering with the void of the end. This moment is one of the most powerful in Minecraft, the transformation of stone and silence into a doorway to another world. The psychological impact of using Eyes of Ender is immense. Unlike diamonds or enchanted weapons, which reward players with power in the moment, the eye represents delayed gratification. Its value lies in where it leads. This creates anticipation, drawing players onward. The stronghold search becomes a ritual of patience, each eye thrown a step closer to the climax of the game. The floating motion of the eye, glowing softly as it arcs through the sky, has a hypnotic quality. Following it across forests, plains, and oceans feels like following a star. It evokes ancient myths of quests guided by celestial light. In this way, the eye transforms the player's journey into something legendary. The end portal itself is one of Minecraft's most iconic structures. Empty frames wait in silence, each one requiring an eye to complete. Placing them feels ceremonial, almost like a ritual. One by one, you slot the eyes into the frames, hearing the sharp sound as each locks into place. The portal remains inert until the final eye is added. Then, in a sudden burst of light and sound, the void appears. This moment is unforgettable. The careful preparation, the battles for pearls, the descent into strongholds, all of it culminates in a single transformation. The eyes of Ender are the catalysts of this moment, turning stone into destiny. The rarity of strongholds adds to the eye's mystique. Unlike villages or temples, strongholds are hidden deep underground, unreachable without guidance. They are rare enough that many players may never stumble upon one without the help of eyes. This rarity makes each eye precious. It is not just an item, it is a map, a compass, a secret revealed. Holding one feels like holding knowledge that others do not have. It creates a sense of privilege, as though you have been entrusted with the path to a hidden world. Culturally, the Eye of Ender has become a symbol of Minecraft's deeper lore. Fan art often depicts them as glowing jewels, mystical orbs with swirling galaxies inside. In stories, they are imagined as artifacts of ancient civilizations, remnants of those who once built the strongholds. Some theories suggest that Endermen themselves once used Eyes of Ender, creating the strongholds and portals before abandoning them. This theory ties the item directly to the mob, deepening the mystery. Whether true or not, the ambiguity of the eye invites imagination. It is an artifact without explanation, and that silence is what makes it powerful. Mechanically, the eye balances usefulness with fragility. It can break upon use, reminding players of impermanence. No matter how many eyes you gather, some may be lost along the way. This impermanence mirrors the fragility of journeys themselves. Adventures require resources, sacrifices, and patience. The eye is a metaphor for the cost of discovery. It asks players to accept that progress may consume what they have worked for, but that the reward is worth the price. This theme of sacrifice ties back to the Ender Pearl's health cost, reinforcing the idea that great power is never free. Speedrunners elevate the importance of Eyes of Ender to legendary status. For them, acquiring pearls, crafting eyes, and locating strongholds are the core steps of the run. Each throw of the eye is filled with drama, not just for the runner but for the audience. The eye becomes a symbol of suspense, progress, and victory. Its fragility adds risk, making every run unique. Viewers know the significance of each moment, the triumph when the stronghold is found, the relief when enough eyes survive. In this context, the eye transcends gameplay. It becomes a character in the story, one that players and viewers alike root for. In multiplayer, the eye can also carry narrative weight. Servers often create stories around stronghold hunts, with groups of players banding together to collect pearls and blaze powder, then setting out on epic expeditions. The journey across the land, guided by glowing eyes, becomes a communal experience. In these moments, the eye is more than a tool. It is a shared dream, a beacon leading many players to the same destiny. This collective aspect mirrors myths of quests and pilgrimages, where groups follow a guiding light to sacred places. Ultimately, the Eye of Ender is one of Minecraft's most profound items. It is not valuable for its combat strength or crafting recipes, but for its role as a symbol. It embodies destiny, sacrifice, and the pursuit of the unknown. It links the overworld, the nether, and the end, uniting the game's three realms in a single object. It transforms the player's journey from survival to legend, from building houses to facing dragons. It is a reminder that even in a world of infinite blocks, there are paths that lead to greater meaning. When players finally place the last eye into the frame and watch the portal activate, they experience one of Minecraft's most transcendent moments. The eyes of Ender have fulfilled their purpose, guiding the way to the end. In that moment, the journey feels whole. The eyes are more than items, they are storytellers, leading players through fear, preparation, and discovery to the heart of the game's mythos. That is why, even after countless updates and new content, the Eye of Ender remains one of the most iconic, mysterious, and beloved elements of Minecraft. In the world of Minecraft, the Ender Dragon is the ultimate adversary. It is the towering boss that dominates the end dimension, circling above obsidian pillars and breathing destruction. Yet when players arrive in this barren void, they find that the dragon is not alone. The end is filled with Endermen, the tall watchers who wander the islands in silence. Their presence alongside the dragon raises questions. Why do these two beings share the same world? What relationship exists between the mysterious humanoids and the great beast? The answer is not explained directly by the game, but the coexistence of Enderman and the dragon creates layers of lore, symbolism, and psychological effect that make the end one of Minecraft's most memorable dimensions. The first striking detail is that Endermen are the only other mobs present in the end during the dragon fight. Unlike the Nether, which is alive with ghasts, piglins, magma cubes, and blaze, the end is sparse. Its vast obsidian islands are populated only by the dragon and the Enderman. This scarcity gives the world a haunting feeling, as though it is preserved for something special. The Endermen wander quietly, ignoring the dragon as it flies above, creating a contrast between silence and chaos. While the dragon roars and swoops, the Endermen remain indifferent, focused on carrying blocks or pacing across the void. This contrast suggests that the dragon and Enderman share the world but do not share the same role. One dominates the sky, the other haunts the ground, like two different expressions of the same mystery. Players quickly notice that Endermen do not attack the dragon, nor does the dragon target them. This neutrality is unusual in Minecraft, where mobs often clash with each other. Zombies will attack villagers, skeletons may hit creepers by accident, and wolves will defend their owners. But in the end, there is harmony. The dragon ignores the Enderman, and the Enderman ignore the dragon. This behavior invites speculation. Perhaps the Endermen worship the dragon, seeing it as a guardian of their world, or perhaps they are equals, both native to the void, existing in balance. The silence of the Enderman leaves room for interpretation, encouraging players to fill in the blanks with their imagination. Symbolically, the dragon represents finality, the ultimate test of strength and endurance. The Endermen, on the other hand, represent mystery and ambiguity. Together, they embody two sides of the end dimension. The dragon is the obvious challenge, while the Endermen are the subtle enigma. Facing the dragon is about combat, but facing the Enderman is about psychology. The player must balance both during the final battle, avoiding eye contact with the watchers while focusing on destroying crystals and striking the dragon. This duality creates one of Minecraft's most tense and layered experiences, where physical survival and emotional control are equally important. The mechanics of the fight highlight this relationship. While battling the dragon, players often build shelters or carve out areas where they can hide from Endermen. Accidentally looking at one during the chaos can be fatal, as their teleportation and strength may overwhelm a distracted player. This makes Endermen a constant threat, even though they are not directly part of the boss fight. Their presence forces players to move carefully, creating a second layer of danger. The dragon demands attention from above, while the Endermen threaten from below. This multi-directional pressure heightens the intensity, making the end feel alive with danger. The Enderman's ability to move blocks adds further intrigue. During a dragon fight, players sometimes notice the environment subtly shifting. A block of dirt moved, a flower relocated, a piece of endstone missing. These small alterations suggest that the Endermen are shaping the battlefield, even if unintentionally. The dragon may be the destroyer, breaking blocks with its breath and tail swipes, but the Endermen are quiet shapers, leaving subtle marks of their presence. Together, they create a world in flux, a dimension where nothing feels stable. Psychologically, this reinforces the idea that the end is alien, unpredictable, and governed by forces beyond the player's control. Lore theories about the relationship between Enderman and the dragon are diverse. One popular idea is that the Endermen are the remnants of an ancient civilization, and the dragon is their guardian. According to this view, the Endermen once built the strongholds and portals, but over time, they lost their humanity and became warped into tall, silent figures. The dragon, then, is the final defense of their world, protecting the void from outsiders. Another theory suggests that the Endermen serve the dragon as followers, like priests to a god. Their silence is seen as reverence, their wandering as ritual. A different interpretation imagines the Endermen as indifferent, simply coexisting with the dragon because they share the same origin. The lack of explicit lore invites all these interpretations, keeping the mystery alive. From a design perspective, the pairing of Enderman with the dragon enhances gameplay. If the dragon were alone, the end would feel empty. The battle would be intense, but the dimension would lack atmosphere. The Endermen fill this gap, populating the landscape with moving figures that create tension. Their neutral behavior means they are not an obstacle by default, but their potential for aggression adds danger. They turn the end into a place of risk, not just from the dragon, but from the environment itself. This design choice makes the end feel less like a boss arena and more like a living world. The Enderman's teleportation also complements the dragon's abilities. While the dragon dominates the sky with sweeping attacks and fire-like breath, the Endermen dominate the ground with sudden appearances and disappearances. Together, they ensure that the player never feels safe. Danger may come from above in the form of a swooping dragon, or from the side as an Enderman teleports into view. This combination keeps the player constantly alert, a state of heightened awareness that defines the final battle. It is not just about strength, but about composure under pressure. Thematically, the coexistence of Enderman and the dragon reflects the broader themes of Minecraft. The game is about balance between creation and destruction, fear and discovery, the known and the unknown. The dragon embodies raw destruction and challenge, while the Endermen embody mystery and unease. Facing both at once forces players to confront not only external danger, but also internal fear. It is a fitting conclusion to the game's journey, which begins with curiosity in the overworld and ends with mystery in the void. Community culture has embraced this relationship. Players create fan art showing Endermen gathered around the dragon, sometimes kneeling in reverence, sometimes standing as equals. Stories imagine them as the dragon's followers, carrying out tasks in silence. Others depict the dragon as indifferent, while the Endermen simply inhabit the same world. These interpretations reflect the open-endedness of Minecraft itself. Just as players can build anything, they can imagine any story. The coexistence of Enderman and the dragon is a canvas for creativity, inviting endless speculation. Psychologically, the presence of Enderman during the dragon fight amplifies the sense of being watched. The dragon may be the immediate threat, but the Endermen create a background unease. Their tall figures, standing in groups, seem to observe the battle without intervening. This creates a feeling of an audience, as though the player is being judged. The silence of the watchers contrasts with the noise of the fight, making the experience feel ceremonial. It is not just a battle, it is a trial, with the Endermen as witnesses. This interpretation gives the fight a mythic quality, transforming it from a simple video game challenge into something that feels larger, more meaningful. Ultimately, the relationship between Enderman and the Ender Dragon is defined not by direct interaction, but by atmosphere and symbolism. They are two pillars of the end, one visible and destructive, the other silent and mysterious. Together, they create a dimension that feels complete, balanced, and unforgettable. The dragon is the boss to defeat, the goal to reach, but the Endermen are the soul of the end, the element that gives it depth and tension. Without them, the end would be hollow. With them, it becomes a place of legend. This pairing ensures that the end remains one of Minecraft's most iconic dimensions. Players remember not only the roar of the dragon, but also the silent watchers who stood beneath it. The final battle is not just about victory over a beast, but about navigating fear, mystery, and the presence of beings who do not speak, yet seem to know more than they reveal. In the end, the dragon may fall, but the Endermen remain, eternal witnesses of the void, ensuring that the mystery of the end continues long after the battle is won. When a creature in a video game moves beyond its code to live in the minds of players, it becomes something greater than pixels. The Enderman is one of those rare figures. Since its introduction, it has seeped into the culture of Minecraft and beyond, shaping myths, art, and even humor. While zombies, skeletons, and creepers have all become symbols of the game, the Enderman holds a unique position. It is not just an enemy, it is a mystery, and mysteries invite stories. Over the years, fans have created entire mythologies around these tall, silent beings, blending fear, curiosity, and creativity into cultural legends that continue to grow. One of the earliest myths was that Endermen could steal anything. In reality, their block-carrying ability is limited to a small list of materials, like dirt, sand, and flowers. But players swore they had seen Endermen holding rare ores or valuable treasures. These stories spread quickly, especially on multiplayer servers where blocks sometimes went missing for other reasons. It was easy to imagine that the silent watchers were to blame. This myth transformed Endermen into thieves, tricksters who stole not for survival but out of curiosity. The story persists even today, with new players occasionally convinced that Endermen have robbed them of diamonds. It is an example of how the smallest mechanic can blossom into legend when filtered through imagination. Another myth that took hold was that Endermen could teleport into houses and bases deliberately, almost as though they were stalking players. Technically, Endermen teleport in response to water or danger, and they need space at least 3 blocks high. But players reported uncanny experiences of Endermen appearing inside their shelters, often in the dead of night. These stories circulated as warnings. Build carefully, because Endermen can appear anywhere. The myth tapped into a primal fear, the idea that even in your safest place, you could be watched. It made Endermen not just enemies of the wild, but invaders of personal space, turning the comfort of a base into a stage for unease. Enderman quickly became a staple of Minecraft fan art and fan fiction. Artists drew them as tragic figures, cursed to wander between worlds. Some portrayed them as protectors, guardians of the end portal who watched over players with silent patience. Others imagined them as villains, plotting with Herobrine or acting as his servants. The diversity of interpretations highlights the ambiguity of their design. Because Mojang never gave Enderman an official backstory, fans could project anything onto them. This lack of explanation was a gift, sparking creativity instead of limiting it. The Enderman became not just a mob, but a canvas for storytelling. Humor also became part of Enderman culture. Memes spread about their weakness to water, portraying them as tall, menacing figures running from raindrops. Players joked about them being overdramatic or afraid of baths. The contrast between their intimidating appearance and their vulnerability made them ripe for comedy. This balance of fear and humor helped keep Endermen popular. They were not just terrifying, they were also endearing, figures that could inspire laughter as easily as chills. This dual role in culture is rare and shows how deeply they resonate with players. Music and video also played a role in shaping Enderman myths. Parody songs included references to their teleportation and block-stealing habits, while animations on platforms like YouTube depicted them as characters with emotions, families, and histories. Entire series were built around Enderman protagonists, exploring what it might be like to live as one. These creative projects gave them depth, transforming them from silent mobs into relatable figures. They became more than obstacles in a game, they became icons of storytelling in a digital age. The myth of the Enderman as a watcher spread widely. Players often described encounters where Endermen seemed to observe them for long periods without moving. This led to the idea that Endermen are not hostile by default, because they are studying the player. Some fans went further, imagining that Endermen were once players themselves, cursed or transformed. The way they stare, the way their voices echo with reversed human speech, and their block-carrying habits all support this interpretation. It became one of the most enduring cultural myths that Endermen are mirrors of the player, distorted reflections of what could have been. Connections between Enderman and other myths in Minecraft, such as Herobrine, further fueled their cultural presence. In many fan stories, Herobrine commands armies of Endermen, using them as his silent enforcers. In others, he is their creator, or even one of them. These links created a shared mythology where different legends reinforced one another. Together, they turned Minecraft into more than a sandbox game. It became a stage for digital folklore, with Endermen at the center of it all. The spread of Enderman myths also shows how players use storytelling to explain unease. When something feels unsettling in a game, the mind seeks answers. Enderman's silence, height, and strange behavior demand explanation, and myths fill the gap. Stories about them being cursed builders, ancient watchers, or servants of Herobrine give shape to that unease. Even though these explanations are not official, they provide comfort by turning mystery into narrative. In this way, the cultural myths of Enderman are not just entertainment, they are psychological tools that help players make sense of the uncanny. Endermen have also crossed into popular culture outside of Minecraft. Their tall, shadowy forms are often compared to figures like Slender Man, another internet legend. This connection strengthened their reputation, linking them to broader traditions of online horror. In art, merchandise, and cosplay, Endermen appear as symbols of mystery and digital folklore. They are recognized even by people who do not play Minecraft, proof of their reach beyond the game. Their design, simple yet striking, allows them to live in memory and imagination across cultures. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Enderman culture is how it continues to evolve. Even years after their introduction, new myths appear. Players tell stories of encountering rare Endermen with glowing colors, or of seeing them behave in impossible ways. Videos circulate claiming to have captured secret behaviors, fueling speculation. Each generation of players adds new layers to the myth, ensuring that the Enderman's legacy never fades. Unlike many mobs whose roles are fixed, the Enderman remains flexible, able to inspire new interpretations indefinitely. At the heart of Enderman culture is the idea of mystery. They are not fully explained, and that lack of explanation is their strength. Players do not need official lore to make them meaningful. Instead, the silence of the Enderman invites participation. Fans become co-creators, filling the gaps with stories, art, and humor. This participatory myth-making is what makes Enderman unique. They are not just part of Minecraft's world, they are part of the community's imagination. And in that imagination, they will always be more than mobs. They will be legends. One of the most fascinating aspects of Enderman lore is the way players and communities imagine variants of the creature. In the official version of Minecraft, there is only one standard Enderman mob, found in the overworld, Nether, and End. Yet because of their mystery, players have long speculated about other forms, stronger, stranger, or older versions of the Enderman that might exist beyond what the game shows. These imagined variants add richness to the mythology of the mob, filling gaps with creativity and blending gameplay with storytelling. The first and most widely discussed variant is the so-called Enderman King. This figure often appears in fan stories and art as a towering leader of the species, sometimes described as even taller than the Ender Dragon itself. The Enderman King is imagined as the ruler of the End, a being with intelligence far greater than the wandering mobs players encounter. Some versions of the myth portray the king as the architect of End cities, commanding ordinary Endermen to build them. Others imagine him as the keeper of forbidden knowledge, watching players from a throne of obsidian. Though the king does not exist in the official game, the idea persists because it makes sense within the atmosphere Mojang created. If Endermen are builders and watchers, then surely they would have leaders, hierarchies, and rulers of their own. Another popular imagined variant is the corrupted Enderman. In these stories, Endermen are not always silent wanderers. They can be twisted by contact with the Nether, by exposure to dark magic, or by experiments gone wrong. Corrupted Endermen are described as glowing with red or green light, their teleportation more violent, their speech even more distorted. They sometimes appear in mods, where they have increased strength or unique powers. This variant plays into the idea that Endermen are not static, but can evolve or change under different conditions. It also mirrors myths of humans being corrupted into monsters, reinforcing the theory that Endermen may have once been people. Players also speculate about ancient Endermen. These are imagined as the original form of the mob, existing long before players entered the world. Ancient Endermen are thought to be larger, slower, and more powerful, carrying blocks of rare material like obsidian or even enchanted objects. They are often tied to theories about the builders of strongholds and portals, as though these ancients laid the foundations of Minecraft's hidden structures. The myth of the ancient Enderman serves as a way to connect the mob to the larger history of the game, linking them to civilizations lost to time. By imagining an ancient form, players give depth to the current version, suggesting that the Endermen wandering today are only shadows of what they once were. Mods and custom servers have brought many of these variants to life. Players have created giant Endermen, mobs several times taller than normal, capable of causing massive destruction. Others have made shadow Endermen, which blend into darkness almost completely, appearing only when they attack. These creations, though unofficial, contribute to the collective lore. They take the foundation Mojang provided and expand upon it, offering players new ways to imagine what Enderman could be. Each variant tells a different story, showing how flexible the concept is. The Enderman is such a simple design, tall, black, silent, that it can evolve endlessly in the imagination. One of the most intriguing speculative evolutions is the idea of Ender Guardians. These imagined mobs are protectors of the Ender Dragon, stronger and more disciplined than ordinary Endermen. While the standard Enderman ignores the dragon, Guardians would fight alongside it, attacking intruders relentlessly. Some fans imagine them carrying special weapons or wearing glowing armor, marking them as elite among their kind. This variant reflects the human tendency to create hierarchies in myth. If there are ordinary Endermen, then surely there must be soldiers, protectors, and elites. The Guardians fill that role, giving structure to the imagined society of the End. Speculation also extends to ocean Endermen, a playful contradiction of their fear of water. These imagined creatures have adapted to the sea, their bodies glowing blue and their teleportation creating ripples across the waves. In this myth, they are rare and elusive, appearing only in the deepest oceans. Though humorous in some versions, the idea highlights a curiosity about what Endermen might become if freed from their weakness. Could they evolve into beings that command water instead of fleeing from it? This speculation reflects the way players push boundaries, wondering what happens when rules are bent or broken. Another evolution often imagined is the Enderman Shaman or Mage. These variants are described as wielding magical powers, casting illusions, or summoning other mobs. They are often tied to theories about the Enderman language, imagined as figures who can speak more clearly or channel the strange energy of the End. These shamans are storytellers, leaders, or prophets, deepening the cultural interpretation of Endermen as more than monsters. They suggest that Endermen are not only physical beings but also spiritual ones, connected to the void in ways players cannot comprehend. Psychologically, the creation of Enderman variants reflects a need to explain mystery. The standard Enderman leaves too many questions unanswered. Why do they carry blocks? What do they want? Where do they come from? By inventing variants, kings, ancients, shamans, guardians, players provide answers. Each new form is a story, a way to give shape to unease. Variants also make the Enderman myth more flexible. They can be terrifying or tragic, powerful or fragile, depending on the role they are given. This adaptability ensures that Endermen remain a living legend, constantly reshaped by the imagination of the community. Even outside of mods, speculative variants appear in fan fiction and art. Stories describe fallen Endermen, who rebel against their kind and seek friendship with players. Others imagine luminous Endermen, glowing with soft colors, wandering the world as peaceful guides. These interpretations soften the mob, transforming it from a source of fear into a source of wonder. They show how versatile the Enderman's image is. With only a few traits, tall, silent, teleporting, it can become almost anything in the imagination. This is what makes it so culturally enduring. It is not fixed in one role but open to endless reinvention. Some players even speculate about Enderman evolution in scientific terms. They imagine that Endermen may have once been creatures of the overworld who adapted to the void of the End. Their long legs are interpreted as a way to stride across uneven terrain. Their teleportation is imagined as an adaptation to hostile environments, a survival strategy in worlds where danger is everywhere. Their weakness to water is explained as a flaw carried from an earlier stage of evolution, a vulnerability that has never been erased. This scientific lens turns the Enderman into more than a monster. It becomes a species, part of an ecosystem with rules and history. Ultimately, Enderman variants and speculative evolutions reveal the power of mystery in game design. Mojang left the mob unexplained, and in that silence, players created. The imagined kings, shamans, guardians, and ancients are not official, but they enrich the experience. They make the Enderman feel like part of a larger culture, a species with depth and diversity. Whether terrifying giants or peaceful guides, these variants embody the creativity of the Minecraft community. And as long as the Enderman remains mysterious, new variants will continue to emerge, ensuring that its legend never fades. One of the most enduring mysteries in Minecraft is the question of who built the many structures scattered throughout the game. Strongholds, temples, mine shafts, and even the great end cities suggest a civilization with intelligence, planning, and resources. Yet in the world players enter, no trace of such a civilization remains except perhaps in the wandering forms of the Enderman. This gap has led to one of the most fascinating fan theories, that Endermen are the remnants of the ancient builders who once shaped the world. The theory begins with simple observation. Endermen carry blocks, placing them in seemingly random locations. They are the only mob in Minecraft capable of moving blocks naturally, aside from players. This behavior hints at construction, at an instinct to build or rearrange the environment. It is as though Endermen remember something from long ago, a role they once fulfilled but can no longer complete. The idea that they were once builders ties this strange behavior into a larger narrative. Perhaps they were not always the mysterious beings we know, but once intelligent and human-like, crafting and creating as players do now. Supporters of this theory point to strongholds as key evidence. Strongholds are vast underground structures filled with libraries, stone corridors, and the portal rooms that lead to the end. The design is deliberate, with arches, doorways, and decorative details that no natural process could create. If players did not build these strongholds, who did? The theory suggests that it was the ancestors of today's Endermen, builders who constructed strongholds as gateways to other realms. The end portal itself seems designed with intention, a frame that requires Eyes of Ender to activate. Why would such a mechanism exist, if not built by a civilization that understood both the Nether and the End? Further support comes from the design of end cities. These towering structures rise above the void, built from purple blocks and end stone bricks. They have staircases, balconies, and bridges connecting towers. The structures feel planned, created with architectural logic. Yet no builders remain, only shulkers guard the halls, hiding in boxes. Endermen wander nearby, but they do not interact with the cities. Still, many players wonder if Endermen are connected to these places. Could it be that they built the cities long ago, before degenerating into the mysterious, silent forms we know today? Perhaps the shulkers are not the true inhabitants, but only pests that moved in after the original creators disappeared. The ancient builder theory often ties into Enderman behavior around players. When looked at directly, Endermen become hostile, attacking with strange cries. Some interpret this as anger or fear. Could it be that Endermen recognize something in the player, something of themselves? If they were once human-like builders, then perhaps the sight of a player reminds them of what they lost. The hostility might not be random aggression, but a reaction born of recognition, confusion, or even envy. A more detailed version of the theory suggests that ancient builders once traveled across dimensions. They mined the overworld, crafted portals to the Nether, and eventually discovered a way to reach the end. But their experiments went wrong. Exposure to the void, to end stone and chorus fruit, slowly changed them. Their bodies stretched taller, their skin darkened, and their voices became distorted. They gained teleportation but lost their humanity. Over time, the builders were transformed into the Endermen we see now. Their block-carrying behavior is not random, but a fragmented memory of what they used to be. They are trying to build, but their minds can no longer hold the knowledge of architecture. Fans often expand on this story with speculation about what happened to the ancient society. Some imagine that the builders were punished for their ambition, cursed by the very dimensions they sought to master. Others think the mutation into Endermen was gradual, the result of surviving in harsh environments for too long. The end dimension, with its barren landscapes and floating islands, is seen as the final resting place of their civilization, a place where they fled or were trapped. The end cities are ruins, once vibrant and full, now abandoned except for silent shadows of their former inhabitants. In support of the theory, players note similarities between Endermen and humans. Both stand upright on two legs, both have long arms and dexterous hands, both interact with the environment. This is unlike most Minecraft mobs, which resemble animals or monsters with simpler behavior. Endermen are uniquely humanoid, hinting at a deeper origin. Their intelligence, though limited, suggests more than instinct. They watch players closely, teleport strategically, and sometimes appear almost curious. These traits align with the idea that they were once like us, still carrying echoes of their lost humanity. The Ender Pearls and Eyes of Ender further support the theory. Ender Pearls allow teleportation, a strange ability tied to the Endermen themselves. Eyes of Ender guide players to strongholds and activate portals. Why should these items be connected to Endermen, unless they were once the keepers of this knowledge? Perhaps Ender Pearls are fragments of their original power, remnants of the abilities they developed when they crossed into the End. The fact that Endermen drop these items suggests that their bodies are bound to the very mechanisms of travel that ancient builders created. Of course, not all players agree with the theory. Some argue that Endermen are simply another mob, created for gameplay balance rather than lore. They carry blocks for variety, they spawn in multiple dimensions for challenge, and their mystery is intentional. Mojang has never confirmed that they were once builders, leaving the theory as speculation. Yet the lack of confirmation only fuels the imagination. Because Endermen are not explained, players are free to create their own stories, and the ancient builder theory has become one of the most popular. The appeal of this theory lies in its elegance. It explains multiple mysteries at once: who built the strongholds, where the end cities came from, why Endermen carry blocks, why they resemble humans, and why they drop items tied to portals. It provides a single story that ties these disparate details together. Even if it is not officially true, it feels satisfying, filling the silence Mojang left with a narrative that players can believe in. In community discussions, the ancient builder theory often connects to Herobrine myths. Some players imagine that Herobrine was one of the last of the builders, surviving the transformation that consumed the rest. Others think he is a ghost haunting their ruins, tied to the fate of the Endermen. In this way, myths intertwine, creating a rich tapestry of community-created lore that sits alongside the official game. The builders, the Endermen, the strongholds, the portals all become part of one grand story. Whether true or not, the theory has influenced how people play. Some players treat Endermen with a kind of respect, imagining them as tragic figures rather than simple monsters. Others build lore-based adventures, writing stories where players uncover the history of the ancient builders and their transformation. In roleplay servers, entire plots revolve around Endermen as lost descendants of a forgotten empire. In this way, the theory shapes not only discussion, but gameplay itself, deepening the sense of mystery and meaning in Minecraft. Ultimately, the connection between Enderman and ancient builders is not about proving what is real, but about exploring possibility. Minecraft thrives on imagination, and the gaps in its world invite players to fill them. The Endermen, with their silence and strangeness, are perfect vessels for this creativity. They are blank enough to allow countless interpretations, yet mysterious enough to demand explanation. Whether they were once builders or not, they carry the weight of that possibility, and that makes them endlessly fascinating. Endermen, with their tall frames, glowing eyes, and mysterious behaviors, have inspired not only theories and myths, but also countless reinterpretations in mods, fan games, and spin-off media. Their design is simple enough to be instantly recognizable, yet flexible enough to be reimagined in endless ways. This has made Enderman one of the most popular mobs to modify, adapt, and transform. In many ways, Endermen live two lives: the official version created by Mojang and the countless fan-made versions that exist across mods and community projects. One of the earliest examples of Endermen being expanded came from survival mods that increased difficulty. These mods often introduce stronger versions of Endermen with more health, faster teleportation, or new attacks. Some mods imagined Endermen with the ability to summon lightning. Others gave them powers of invisibility. Players often created these modifications because they felt the original Enderman, while mysterious, was too easy to defeat. By making them more powerful, modders reinforced the fear factor, making encounters more intense and memorable. These modifications contributed to the legend of the Enderman as a creature that could never be fully understood or tamed. Adventure-based mods often took things further by creating entirely new Enderman variants with lore and backstory. Some mods introduced Ender Knights, mobs dressed in shadowy armor, carrying glowing swords, and serving as defenders of End fortresses. Others created Ender Mages, casting spells and summoning void creatures to attack players. These designs often leaned into the humanoid nature of Endermen, imagining them not as random mobs but as members of a society with roles and hierarchies. The idea of Endermen as builders or guardians fit naturally into these mods, giving players a sense of fighting against an organized people rather than isolated monsters. Another category of mods focused on adding bosses. Ender Titans became popular in several large mod packs, imagined as towering giants, far larger than even the Ender Dragon. These titans often required special strategies, sometimes involving dozens of players or powerful gear. The scale of these creations emphasized the idea that Endermen were not just wanderers but could evolve into something world-shaking. Facing such a creature turned the myth of the Enderman into an epic confrontation, blending survival gameplay with fantasy storytelling. Mods also explored gentler interpretations. Some imagined peaceful Endermen that could be tamed, befriended, or even traded with. These Endermen were given dialogue, animations of curiosity, or special abilities to help players. They might fetch blocks, guard a base, or guide players through the end. These reinterpretations soften the mystery, portraying Endermen not as frightening shadows but as potential allies. Such mods reflect the diversity of player imagination. For some, the Enderman is a monster. For others, it is a misunderstood figure waiting for friendship. Fan-made dimensions often placed Enderman at the center of new worlds. Entire mods were built around the concept of the end expansion, adding biomes, structures, and creatures to the end. In these expansions, Endermen were often given cultural roles, becoming villagers of the void with homes, temples, and cities. Some mods portrayed them as farmers of chorus fruit, others as scholars recording knowledge in strange scripts. These creations echoed the ancient builder theory, but pushed it further, imagining what an Enderman civilization might look like if it still thrived. Outside of mods, Endermen have appeared in Mojang's own spin-off projects. In Minecraft Story Mode, they played a significant role in several episodes. Here, their behavior was expanded with moments of humor, such as stacking blocks in bizarre patterns or reacting dramatically to being stared at. The story emphasized their strangeness but also gave them character beyond the silent hostility of the main game. By showing Endermen interacting with each other, the spin-off made them feel like a community, reinforcing the idea that they are more than simple mobs. Minecraft Dungeons, another spin-off, introduced Endermen as mini-bosses. In this game, they were framed as threatening opponents that appeared suddenly, warping across the battlefield. Their design was familiar, but their role as stronger than average enemies cemented their status as icons of danger. Players encountering them in dungeons often describe the sudden tension they brought to a fight. Even outside the core game, Endermen carried their aura of fear and mystery, proving that their design worked in multiple genres. Community creations outside of official games have also been rich and varied. Fan fiction often casts Endermen in central roles, either as tragic figures cursed by the void or as ancient beings with wisdom to share. Some stories tell of friendships between Endermen and players, while others describe wars between Endermen and other mobs. These tales take advantage of the blank canvas Mojang left, turning silence into narrative. The absence of lore becomes an invitation for players to invent their own. Art communities have also embraced the Endermen. Thousands of pieces of fan art depict them in countless forms: regal, monstrous, sorrowful, or comedic. Some artists lean into their horror, portraying glowing eyes in dark forests or twisted limbs stretching toward the viewer. Others take a lighter approach, showing Endermen sipping tea, wearing suits, or reading books. This flexibility has helped the Enderman transcend its role as a mob and become a cultural symbol. For many, the Enderman represents creativity itself, an empty form into which any story can be poured. Animations on platforms like YouTube have further expanded the mythos. Popular channels have portrayed Endermen as characters with personalities, often playing on their awkwardness or silence for comedic effect. In some stories, Endermen are curious explorers. In others, they are clumsy and misunderstood. These animations often spread widely, introducing new generations of players to the mob. The creativity of these animations reflects the same pattern as mods. Endermen are endlessly adaptable, serving whatever role a story needs. Even in parody culture, Endermen have thrived. Songs, jokes, and memes often highlight their unique traits, especially their reaction to eye contact and their fear of water. Entire comedic sketches revolve around the absurdity of creatures who can teleport through dimensions but panic at the sight of rain. These lighter takes balance the darker interpretations, ensuring that Endermen are not only figures of mystery but also of fun. Their duality, terrifying and ridiculous, makes them a perfect subject for parody. One particularly interesting trend has been the blending of Enderman lore with other franchises. In crossover art and mods, Endermen appear as Star Wars Sith, as Slender Man allies, or as superheroes with teleportation powers. These mashups highlight how iconic their silhouette has become. Even outside of Minecraft, the tall, dark figure with glowing eyes is instantly recognizable. The Enderman has become part of internet culture more broadly, not just a character tied to one game. The impact of mods and community creations is profound. They show how much space Mojang left open in the design of the Enderman. By not explaining too much, the developers gave players freedom to invent. Mods add teeth, heart, or humor, depending on what players desire. Spin-offs expand roles, making Enderman bosses, comedians, or mysterious wanderers. Fan art and stories turn them into symbols of tragedy or comedy. Through all of these interpretations, the Enderman becomes richer, a figure that evolves with every new idea. Ultimately, the story of Enderman in mods and community projects is the story of Minecraft itself. The game thrives on creativity, on players reshaping what they are given. Endermen are the perfect symbol of that creativity, strange enough to spark imagination, simple enough to be endlessly reinterpreted. They are not confined to Mojang's vision but live in the minds of millions of players, each telling their own story. Whether as titans, allies, comedians, or kings, Enderman remains central to the evolving mythology of Minecraft. And as long as players continue to imagine, the variations will never stop, ensuring that the legend of the Enderman grows ever larger. One of the most popular and enduring interpretations of the Enderman is the idea that they are not simply another mob within the Minecraft world, but rather beings from beyond, aliens or extra-dimensional travelers who found their way into the blocky realms we know. This theory has fascinated players since Enderman first appeared, partly because their design and abilities seem so different from other mobs. Zombies, skeletons, and spiders fit the natural logic of hostile creatures, but Endermen stand apart. They are humanoid, tall, silent, and capable of teleportation. To many, they feel less like monsters and more like visitors from another reality. The alien theory often begins with their physical design. Endermen are tall, slender, and unlike most Minecraft creatures, they do not resemble animals or simple undead. Instead, their elongated limbs and unnerving proportions resemble depictions of extraterrestrials in popular culture. Some fans have compared them to the so-called gray aliens of modern folklore, otherworldly beings with long arms and unsettlingly human-like qualities. Their glowing purple eyes seem to support this interpretation, as though they were designed to look just human enough to be unsettling, yet strange enough to appear alien. Their ability to teleport adds to the mystery. Unlike other mobs that walk, fly, or swim, Endermen blink from place to place with no visible mechanism. To some players, this seems less like magic and more like advanced technology. What if Endermen are using a form of dimensional shifting or wormhole travel? The idea ties into science fiction concepts of beings who cross universes at will, slipping between points in space in ways humans cannot understand. In this light, Endermen are not monsters, they are explorers from another plane, moving through the Minecraft world as scientists or wanderers might. The alien interpretation also finds support in the way Endermen interact with blocks. Unlike mobs that simply destroy, Endermen carefully pick up blocks and move them. This seems purposeful, like they are studying or cataloging the world. To some fans, this behavior resembles the work of alien surveyors, beings who collect samples from planets they visit. They do not seem to eat the blocks or use them in any meaningful way. Instead, they hold them, stare at them, and eventually place them elsewhere. This behavior makes little sense unless we think of them as outsiders, fascinated by the environment but not fully understanding it. Another argument for the alien theory is their relationship with the end dimension. The end is a place unlike any other, with floating islands of end stone and an infinite void stretching in all directions. To many players, it feels like a barren alien world, lifeless except for its strange vegetation and the looming ender dragon. Endermen roam freely here, as though it were their natural home, yet they also appear in the overworld and nether, suggesting that they can survive in multiple environments. This resilience mirrors the concept of alien beings traveling through different worlds, able to adapt where humans cannot. Some fans connect the alien theory to the mysterious chorus fruit found in the end. When eaten, the fruit causes teleportation, echoing the ability of Endermen themselves. Could this plant be a resource they discovered on their journeys, one that changed their bodies and gave them new powers? Perhaps they are not aliens in the strict sense, but explorers who stumbled upon this dimension and adapted to it. In this version of the story, Endermen are pioneers, transformed by the environments they discovered. The extra-dimensional theory takes this idea further, suggesting that Endermen are not from another planet but from an entirely different reality. The way they vanish and reappear without warning hints at the ability to move not only across space but across layers of existence. Some fans speculate that Endermen may even be aware of players in ways other mobs are not. Their tendency to stare and their reaction to eye contact feel uncanny, as though they recognize players as beings from a separate layer of reality. Perhaps, in their silence, they know more about the boundaries of Minecraft than we ever will. Supporters of this theory point to the distorted Enderman language. When their sounds are slowed and reversed, fragments of human words seem to emerge. Phrases like "hi" or "what's up" have been claimed by players listening closely. While Mojang has never confirmed this, the possibility suggests communication from beings who exist on the edge of understanding. If Endermen truly are extra-dimensional, perhaps their language only partly translates into ours, leaving fragments that seem familiar, yet strange. The alien and extra-dimensional interpretations often merge with theories about the ancient builders. Some players imagine that Endermen were once humans or builders who stumbled too far into other dimensions. Exposure to alien environments or cosmic forces transformed them, stretching their bodies and warping their voices. Over time, they became unrecognizable, evolving into a species that could cross between worlds. In this version, Endermen are both aliens and natives, products of interdimensional exploration gone wrong. Their presence in strongholds and near portals supports this story, as though they are forever tied to the places where their transformation began. Cultural parallels also support the alien theory. Endermen resemble myths of shadow people, figures described in folklore as tall, dark, and silently watching from the corners of vision. They also echo modern stories of visitors from the stars, who are said to abduct, observe, or experiment on humans. The combination of these influences creates a creature that feels both ancient and futuristic. By design or by accident, Mojang created a mob that touches deep fears of the unknown, the fear of being watched, of being studied, of being visited by something beyond comprehension. In community discussions, the idea of Endermen as aliens often leads to playful speculation. If they are visitors, where is their homeworld? Do they have technology? Do they see players as threats, curiosities, or equals? Some fans imagine fleets of Endermen traveling through the void, colonizing dimensions as they go. Others imagine them as survivors of a destroyed home, wandering endlessly in search of a new place to belong. These stories highlight the flexibility of the Enderman myth. They can be invaders, refugees, explorers, or guardians, depending on the role players assigned to them. Mods and fan art have embraced the alien theory directly. Some mods introduce spacecraft for Endermen, depicting them as pilots of strange vehicles hovering above the world. Others give them glowing armor or advanced tools, emphasizing their technological side. In fan art, they are often drawn with cosmic backgrounds, staring into galaxies or standing on alien landscapes. These interpretations reinforce the idea that Endermen do not fully belong in Minecraft's natural order. They are outsiders, shaped by forces beyond what we can see. What makes the alien and extra-dimensional theories so compelling is that they fit the design while leaving room for imagination. Endermen do not eat, they do not sleep, and they do not seem to reproduce. Their purpose is unclear, their origins unknown. By seeing them as aliens, players explain this mystery without needing official confirmation. They are not broken or incomplete mobs, they are travelers, observers, and survivors of a reality we cannot understand. Ultimately, whether Endermen are aliens, ancient builders, or something else entirely, their mystery is what matters most. The alien theory resonates because it taps into universal questions. Are we alone? What lies beyond our world? What happens when we look into the eyes of the unknown? In Minecraft, those questions take the form of tall, silent figures who watch from the distance, who vanish when stared at, and who carry pieces of the world in their long hands. They are not just mobs, they are symbols of mystery itself, reminders that not everything can be explained, and that perhaps is why players continue to dream of them as beings from beyond. When players first encounter an Enderman, it feels unlike meeting any other mob. There is something psychological about the way it stands still, watching until the moment direct eye contact changes everything. This strange behavior, combined with their tall shape and haunting cries, has caused many to see Endermen as more than just game creatures. They are symbols, reflections of deeper human fears and folklore traditions, carrying meaning far beyond their coded design. One of the clearest symbolic readings of the Enderman is as a figure of the unknown. They embody mystery appearing in all three main dimensions, teleporting without explanation and picking up blocks with no obvious purpose. Humans are instinctively wary of things that cannot be understood, and the Enderman channels that unease. When they stare, players feel observed, and when they attack, it feels like punishment for curiosity. Symbolically, they represent the fear of what lies outside human comprehension, the reminder that some things remain hidden no matter how closely we look. In folklore, Endermen share traits with the shadow people, described in stories across cultures. Shadow people are said to appear in dark corners, tall and thin with glowing eyes, silently watching but rarely speaking. Many claim to see them in moments between waking and sleep, which links them to the human subconscious and the edge of dreams. The Enderman, too, feels dreamlike, familiar in its humanoid shape but unsettlingly strange. It is easy to imagine Mojang drawing inspiration from these myths, blending cultural archetypes into a form that resonates instinctively with players. There are also strong parallels with the legend of Slender Man, a figure that emerged from internet folklore in the early 2010s. Slender Man, like the Enderman, is tall, faceless, and haunting, often depicted as watching from a distance or abducting those who see him. Both figures use silence and stillness as tools of fear. The resemblance is so strong that some players initially assumed Endermen were a direct reference to Slender Man. Whether intentional or not, the connection tied the Enderman to one of the most influential modern myths, strengthening its place as a cultural symbol of unease. On a psychological level, Endermen tap into what is called the uncanny valley, This term describes the discomfort humans feel when encountering something that looks almost human, but not quite. Endermen stand on two legs, have arms, and are proportioned like stretched out humans. Yet their movements are jerky, their faces are empty except for glowing eyes, and their language is distorted noise. This makes them both familiar and alien, sparking instinctive discomfort. The uncanny valley effect explains why so many players find them deeply unsettling even before they attack. Symbolically, they represent the tension between recognition and strangeness, a reminder that not everything human-like is truly human. Some interpretations cast Endermen as symbols of isolation. They wander alone, never in large groups, rarely interacting even with others of their kind. They do not build communities like villagers or travel in packs like wolves. They drift, solitary figures in wide landscapes, appearing almost lonely. For players, this can resonate on a personal level. Endermen become reminders of what it feels like to be isolated, to be out of place, or to exist on the edges of society. Their sudden aggression, when looked at, could symbolize the discomfort of being noticed, the vulnerability that comes with exposure. Others see Endermen as symbols of curiosity gone wrong. Their behavior of picking up blocks but doing nothing with them suggests a desire to understand the world without the ability to fully engage. This mirrors human anxieties about knowledge. What if we seek understanding but cannot process it? Their silence adds to this reading, as though they have thoughts they cannot express. Players often project onto them the tragedy of being creatures who almost grasp meaning but never quite succeed. This makes them not only frightening but also strangely sympathetic. In psychological symbolism, Endermen can also represent suppressed fear. They are neutral until confronted, passive until noticed. In this sense, they embody the idea that dangers we ignore remain distant, but once acknowledged, they lash out. Looking into their eyes is like admitting a fear once faced. It becomes unavoidable. The Enderman becomes a metaphor for the anxieties we avoid but cannot escape forever. This makes encounters with them strangely cathartic. Players face the fear, endure the attack, and either survive or fall, mirroring the human process of confronting inner demons. Folklore parallels extend beyond modern myths. In Norse legends, there are tales of Jotun, giant beings who live on the edges of the world, often hostile but also wise. In Japanese mythology, yokai are supernatural figures who wander, sometimes mischievous, sometimes tragic. Endermen share qualities with these beings, existing as liminal figures on the border between worlds. They are not fully monstrous but not fully human, creatures of thresholds. Their role as watchers, movers of blocks, and wanderers between dimensions echoes ancient stories of beings who exist outside human understanding, yet influence human lives. Some players have also drawn connections between Endermen and biblical imagery. Their tall, otherworldly forms, appearing suddenly and moving in mysterious ways, resemble descriptions of angels in ancient texts, beings often described as terrifying, not comforting. While this interpretation is less common, it highlights how Endermen can be read through many lenses. They are not tied to one story but open to countless associations, reflecting the universality of their design. The symbolic weight of Endermen is further reinforced by their presence in all three main dimensions. Few mobs exist in the overworld, nether, and end. This ubiquity makes them liminal creatures, bridging different realities. They become symbols of transition, the messengers of worlds beyond. In mythology, figures who cross boundaries often carry meaning as guides, tricksters, or threats. Endermen fill a similar role in Minecraft, serving as reminders that the boundaries of dimensions are thin and that other forces move between them. On a cultural level, the symbolism of Enderman has been embraced by the community. Players create art and stories that portray them as lonely wanderers, tragic survivors, or silent guardians. They have become symbols of empathy as much as fear, embodying what it means to be misunderstood. This duality makes them powerful symbols. They are both the terror of the unknown and the sadness of isolation. They frighten players while also inviting compassion. Psychologists who have studied gaming culture often note that creatures like Endermen serve as safe ways to explore fear. Facing them in Minecraft allows players to experience discomfort in a controlled environment. The fear of being watched, of being chased, or of encountering the uncanny is distilled into a simple encounter. Symbolically, Endermen are tools for exploring primal anxieties in a safe space. This is why they linger in memory long after the game is turned off. They connect to something deeper than mechanics, they connect to human psychology itself. Ultimately, the symbolism and folklore parallels of Enderman show how rich a single design can be. With only a few traits, tall, silent, glowing eyes, Mojang created a mob that resonates across cultures and meanings. They are aliens, shadows, wanderers, symbols of fear and loneliness, embodiments of curiosity and danger. In their silence, players hear echoes of myths from around the world. In their stares, they see reflections of their own anxieties. Endermen are not just mobs, they are mirrors, reflecting both cultural traditions and personal fears back at those who encounter them. When looking back at the long history of Minecraft, certain mobs stand out as icons of the game's identity. The creeper, with its explosive silence, is perhaps the most famous. Zombies and skeletons provide constant, familiar threats. Villagers give the world a sense of life and community. Yet among these, the Enderman occupies a special position. It is both a symbol of fear and a symbol of mystery, inspiring not only gameplay moments but also entire myths and cultural phenomena. To speak of the legacy of Enderman is to speak of how a single mob can transcend its mechanics and become something much larger, shaping the way players think about the game and even about storytelling in digital spaces. One of the strongest elements of their legacy is their impact on atmosphere. When Endermen were introduced, they changed how players experienced night in Minecraft. Before, darkness was frightening because of obvious threats: zombies groaning, skeletons shooting arrows, spiders leaping from shadows. But Endermen brought a new kind of tension. They did not rush at the player or explode without warning. They stood still, watching. Their silence, punctuated only by distorted noises, created a different mood. They made the night eerie, unsettling, and unpredictable. In this way, Enderman shifted Minecraft from simple survival horror to something more psychological. They taught players that fear is not only about danger, but also about unease. Another part of their legacy lies in how they expanded the game's lore without a single line of dialogue. Enderman raised questions. Why do they carry blocks? Why do they teleport? Why do they exist in all three dimensions? Without answers, players began to speculate, and speculation turned into myths. The Herobrine legend, already popular, soon connected with Endermen, weaving them into broader, fan-made narratives. Mojang never explained, but by leaving silence, they allowed the community to create. The Enderman became proof that less is sometimes more, that mystery can be more powerful than exposition. This design philosophy influenced how fans engaged with Minecraft, turning it from a sandbox into a stage for folklore. In terms of gameplay, Enderman left a legacy of tension. Their unique aggression mechanic, attacking only when looked at, changed how players interacted with the world. Suddenly, eye contact mattered. Players learned to avert their gaze, to avoid drawing attention. This mechanic taught respect and caution, turning encounters into psychological duels. The player had to control not only their weapons but also their behavior. This subtle innovation influenced later game design across the industry, showing how even small changes to enemy behavior can create deep emotional impact. Developers outside Mojang have noted the brilliance of Enderman's design, praising how it generates fear without relying on brute force. Culturally, Endermen became symbols of Minecraft itself. Alongside creepers, they appear in merchandise, artwork, and spin-offs. Plush toys, figurines, and clothing feature their tall frames and glowing eyes. Children draw them in schools. Fans dress as them at conventions. They are instantly recognizable, not just to players but to anyone familiar with gaming culture. The silhouette of the Enderman has become iconic, proving that simple design can have lasting impact. Their legacy is visible not only in gameplay but in the real world, where they stand as ambassadors of Minecraft's strange, creative spirit. Their influence extends into other media. YouTube creators, animators, and musicians have all used Endermen in projects. Animations portray them as clumsy, tragic, or heroic. Songs reference their teleportation or their haunting presence. Memes joke about their fear of water or their obsession with staring. Each reinterpretation adds another layer to their cultural presence. Unlike many mobs, Endermen are flexible enough to be frightening one moment and comedic the next. This adaptability has helped them remain relevant across years of updates and changing player generations. Their legacy is not static but dynamic, constantly reshaped by community creativity. Endermen also left a mark on multiplayer culture. On servers, they became both challenges and symbols. Some groups created lore where Endermen were guardians of sacred places. Others built events where players would hunt Endermen to collect pearls for great journeys. Their presence in stronghold searches cemented them as essential for reaching the game's climax. Speedrunners, too, elevated their status. Collecting Ender Pearls efficiently became one of the central skills of the speedrunning community. In this way, Endermen are tied to both casual play and elite competition, bridging different styles of engagement. Their psychological impact also contributes to their legacy. For many players, their first encounter with an Enderman is unforgettable. The tall figure in the dark, the accidental glance, the sudden scream as it charges, these moments become personal stories. Players share them with friends, turning individual experiences into collective memory. Endermen thus create not just gameplay but anecdotes, tales passed down in the same way ghost stories are told. They become rites of passage, markers of a player's journey through Minecraft. To have faced an Enderman is to have stepped deeper into the mysteries of the game. Their role in the end dimension further secures their legacy. The Ender Dragon fight would feel emptier without the silent watchers below. Endermen provide background tension, forcing players to manage both the boss and the environment. They transform the arena from a simple duel into a layered experience. Even after the dragon is defeated, Endermen remain, wandering the islands as if guarding the void. Their permanence ensures that the end is never just a one-time event, but a place with ongoing life. This makes them central to the game's ultimate narrative arc, not just optional encounters but keepers of the final dimension. Beyond Minecraft, Enderman influenced how players and creators think about storytelling in games. They proved that mystery and ambiguity could be as engaging as detailed lore. Other games have since experimented with similar design creatures that watch, that behave unpredictably, that seem to hold secrets. The success of Enderman showed that players enjoy filling gaps with their imagination, that leaving space for interpretation can strengthen immersion. This legacy goes beyond Mojang, shaping how developers across the industry approach the balance of story and silence. Perhaps their deepest legacy lies in how they inspire empathy alongside fear. While many mobs are hated or dismissed as nuisances, Endermen often evoke sympathy. Players imagine them as lonely wanderers, cursed builders, or misunderstood watchers. The community's tendency to humanize them speaks to their design. By making them humanoid, yet alien, Mojang struck in the stillness of Minecraft's vast worlds. Endermen continue to be one of the most mysterious figures to walk the blocky lands, and their lore invites us to linger in thought as much as it unsettles us with unanswered questions. One of the enduring theories about Endermen is that they may be echoes of an older, ancient people who once roamed the overworld before something catastrophic altered them into the silent beings we know today. Their ability to pick up blocks and rearrange the environment could be a remnant of their previous lives, where they might have once built or shaped landscapes with purpose and design. Some players imagine that every time an Enderman moves a block, it is an unconscious action, a faint memory of a life before transformation, an instinct left over from when they were builders instead of wanderers. This makes them both tragic and fascinating. Equally compelling is the idea that Endermen act as guardians of forgotten paths. The way they stand still until provoked, watching with those glowing purple eyes, suggests a role beyond mere hostility. Perhaps in the deepest lore of Minecraft, they are watchers tied to portals and ancient structures, beings that must linger forever to ensure balance is preserved. Some players think of them as sentinels of the end, forever cursed to patrol both the overworld and the nether when summoned there. The stillness of their posture, followed by sudden bursts of aggression, creates an eerie tension that makes them feel less like random mobs and more like purposeful characters trapped in an eternal duty. Their lore becomes more compelling when one imagines them as guardians of the boundary between dimensions. The strange sounds Endermen make, a garbled set of phrases played backward and distorted, have long fascinated players seeking hidden meaning. When slowed down and cleaned, the sounds resemble muffled phrases in English, possibly whispers of words like hello or what's up. If true, this eerie audio detail could imply that Endermen retain fragments of language, another sign that they may have once been human-like. The distorted quality might represent how far removed they are from their original form, as though their voices are fractured echoes of something they can no longer fully articulate. For those drifting into sleep, it is a reminder that mystery often lies not in what is said clearly, but in the half-heard whispers we can never quite grasp. Endermen, in their quiet way, leave just enough breadcrumbs to keep us wondering. The way Endermen react to eye contact makes them uniquely unsettling compared to other mobs. In most cases, hostile creatures attack without hesitation, but Endermen require the player to look at them directly before reacting. This mechanic has sparked countless theories. Some say it is because direct eye contact breaks the veil between worlds, allowing the Enderman to perceive you fully. Others believe that the Enderman's reaction mirrors human discomfort. Eye contact can be intense, vulnerable, even threatening. In this sense, Mojang may have embedded something deeply human into their behavior, making them more relatable while also more uncanny. By forcing players to consider the social meaning of eye contact, Enderman brings psychological tension into a game otherwise dominated by action and resource management. Endermen also inspire speculation about their relationship to the end dimension itself. The barren landscape of the end, with its towers, end cities, and chorus plants, seems suited to their peculiar ways of moving and teleporting. Many players wonder if Endermen originally hailed from another place but were exiled into this strange void. Their migration into the overworld might then be seen as a consequence of curiosity or desperation, much like explorers venturing into unknown lands. If so, every Enderman encountered in the overworld might be a wanderer far from home, unable to truly belong in the forests, deserts, or snowy plains where they roam. This loneliness, combined with their eerie silence, adds a layer of melancholy to their lore. Another intriguing detail lies in their connection to Ender Pearls. When defeated, Endermen drop these items, which allow players to teleport across short distances. It feels as though these pearls represent the condensed essence of their power, fragments of their soul or nature. The fact that they must die for players to access this ability raises interesting questions. Are Ender Pearls gifts, remnants, or sacrifices? Could they be what allows Endermen to move across space themselves? Or are they a resource they harbor unwillingly, like a burden they cannot escape? Players who use Ender Pearls for travel might then be borrowing from the same mysterious force that curses Endermen to their endless wandering. The item becomes not just a tool, but a piece of lore connecting the player to the mob in unexpected ways. Teleportation itself makes Endermen uniquely otherworldly, for unlike most mobs, they seem unbound by the usual logic of space. They appear behind players, shift across fields, and vanish into thin air with an unsettling ease. Some theorists suggest that Endermen are not teleporting in the conventional sense, but rather slipping between dimensions, flickering into unseen spaces before reappearing. If this is true, then every time they vanish, they may be traveling through hidden realms that players cannot access. The concept paints Endermen as voyagers who walk the threads of reality itself, able to traverse invisible paths that connect worlds. It is both an empowering and haunting thought that they are beings half here and half elsewhere, caught between existence and absence. Their tall, slender design also adds much to the atmosphere of their lore. Standing over 3 blocks high, they tower above the player and most other mobs, resembling distorted human figures. This uncanny resemblance may be why they feel so haunting, for they are close enough to human shape to unsettle us, but alien enough to remain frightening. Some players compare them to shadow people from folklore, mysterious tall figures said to haunt the corners of human vision. By embodying this archetype, Endermen tap into a universal unease, something players might not consciously recognize but feel instinctively. Their design is simple yet effective, merging human-like qualities with unnatural movements to create one of Minecraft's most enduring and iconic figures. Lastly, the role of Endermen in player storytelling cannot be overstated. Across forums, videos, and personal tales, they are often elevated from simple mobs into characters of deep mystery. Players build entire narratives around them, imagining them as cursed builders, lost travelers, or guardians of dimensions. This participatory lore, where players fill in the blanks with imagination, is part of what makes them so timeless. They are less defined by what Mojang has explicitly stated and more by the gaps left open for speculation. In that silence, in their strange gaze, and in their sudden teleportation, Endermen invite us to tell stories of our own. As you drift toward rest, consider that in a game built of blocks, sometimes it is the quiet figures standing in the distance who carry the deepest mysteries, waiting endlessly for us to notice them and wonder.